see an ever-changing news and computer terminology. Commodore news. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.
Hello, and welcome to episode 215 of Zapped to the Past. I am Adrian Mills. I'm joined as always by Mr. Graham Raddings. If you haven't listened before, this is a podcast where we discuss games that were released for the Commodore 64. Last week, we looked at our first batch of games from issue 86 of Zap 64, which we are in no way affiliated with, and were challenged by Chuck Rock, staggered by Steiger, and managed another football team in the match. This week, we conclude our look at the games in July 1992, and with what was also lighting up our TV and cinema screens that month. Graham, another 5 games brings us closer to the end. Is there anything decent here to amuse us along the way?
We are flying through 1992 now, and believe it or not, we are halfway through it and ever closer to the end days of Zap 64 itself. Crazy. Seems like 1992 was definitely the year of the average platform game in many ways, that's for sure. So in a month which saw Kim Basinger finally get the 1,959th star on Hollywood's Walk of Fame, we gather up a group of like-minded friends and head into a bunch of grid-based levels to run around and try and blow everything up. Sounds like the kind of fun you might encounter in a game like BugBomber. And then we head off to the iconic world of one of the most recognisable film characters in the world, whip in hand, hat on head, and sporting our best green suit. No, it's not the Hulk on a day out to Cleethorpes, it's the isometrically impinging C64 version of Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. A green Indiana Jones is not something I can recognise, I'm sorry. I mean, I've watched those films a lot over the years, and in none of them, he was green. More kind of dusty and brown, I would say. The irony of this happening on the C64 is not lost on me, I'm telling you. So while we wonder what Harrison Ford would have said to that weird version of him, we become a blob again, only this time one with the name and a penchant for bouncing everywhere and off everything in the sentient space hopper-like adventures of the Bod Squad. We explore yet another tight-faced alternative management simulation at the hands of cult games, this time with different stats, tables, and limited graphics and appeal in league football. Before we finally head to some familiar territory as we scroll to the right, jump on some bodies, leap off some platforms, slip down some tunnels, and collect the bits and bobs in the Super Mario-ish Turbo the Tortoise. One final thing in this episode, which we must announce, is the winner of the Christmas Clacker Competition. So many entries and so much clack, but only one person can win the Sook Wang V20 keyboard. Is it you? Find out towards the end of the podcast. So what can we say? Platformers everywhere. There is definitely a wholesale swing towards these types of games in 1992 on the C64, no doubt driven by the consoles that were pushing their way into the bedrooms and lounges at that time. Is it a good thing? Well, the C64 can do them, we've seen that, but as they say in The Matrix, not like this. Not like this. Well, there's 5 games, and I'm sensing a theme, a concurrent theme with some of these games developing. Or is it just me?
Then?
Well, it's just the theme of they all seem to be, there seems to be a lot of a similar type of game. They all seem to suffer very similar problems. So
yeah,
I think it's just, you can sort of tell you're coming to the end of the road, as it were. But I was just hoping for a bit of a better finale to the C64's end of days with it all, I suppose. But I suppose there's probably meat in the claws somewhere. I think we'll find.
you're gonna have to dig in quite deep, aren't you, to find some?
Yeah, it's just I feel
sustenance.
I feel a little bit disappointed in the output, but it just all seems to be getting very similar looking. I feel like we've looked at principally the same game about 8 times in the past couple of episodes, but here we are where we are. That's the plan, wasn't it? We've got to look at them all and do what we've got to do.
I'm wondering if the sort of the console, I mean, 1992, I mean, obviously, if you think about Mega Drive and NES been out, not Mega Drive, the Master System and NES were prevalent in the UK by this point. The Master System and the SNES were on the horizon. I'm wondering if sort of these console games are having an impact on what we're seeing. Because what we're seeing is essentially just a lot of platformers suddenly appear.
Yeah, exactly. It's no doubt about it. I mean, it has to be that. And also single screen puzzle games. They were very much of
Yeah.
the certain things as well, weren't they? They came from an arcadey type vibe, actually, didn't they, originally? But they're appearing as well. So
yeah.
And we got to admire the further commitment of our favourite football game manufacturers in their ongoing quests to release the same thing every single time. I admire it. I'm beginning to get a newfound respect for it. I am, in its own special way.
You've gone through it, out the other side, and back into respect and love. You've hated it, come out the other side.
Absolutely, there is. I just felt that. Are there ways you can make that experience different?
I don't know.
I'm guessing it's just an experiment, but there you go.
I feel like somebody actually did go back to the past and make all these so that we would have to hit them. And absolutely. So I think I feel like we're being gaslighted somehow with all these sort of football games. It's like, you just keep giving us them, and it's like, these couldn't have existed at the time. No one knew what they were.
It's the Aldi version of Skynet. Less about the murdering of a teenage rebellion's leader or whatever, all about that. Less about that and about Sarah Connor. More about just implanting games in the path of two podcasters. It's a much lower branch of the world domination thing for an AI, a globally intelligent AI. But you have to start somewhere, don't you? Start small.
Yeah. You're not going to go back on your first attempt to try and kill the leader of the rebellion. Can we go back in time and do something? Can we change the future?
Yeah,
Turns out they can. They can make loads of crap football management games and make us play them and get annoyed.
I'd love to see the accounts for them. I'd like to see how much money they actually made. I bet they're all sat there. They're multimillionaires now, all of them. Like going, oh, thank God we made all them football games.
Absolutely. Well, I did put this in a sort of chat on a forum I go on, and I went, who's buying these? They're only competing against themselves. And someone did say, no, you just buy one, and when you got bored of that, you just get another because they're all so cheap. So, like, you're always searching for the gold in that. You're meeting the claw, as you say. You're gold in them there hills. You don't know. Because they're just £4. You're like, oh, I'll take another punt on this crappy football management game, maybe.
Yeah. And I suppose, and I'm just looking at this from a slightly different lens, we're not critical of some of the manufacturers who have just produced, I don't know, let's say their name rhymes with Boshan, and who produced very similar looking games over that time using a similar engine. Now, they did that, and all these guys have done is do the same thing. They've just produced a similar game with the same engine. No harm, no foul, really. And in their case, literally no fouls, because in some of the games, that was one of the mechanics they didn't put in. But that's beside the point.
Most of their games, actually. And a variety of stolen fonts.
Now, we're not overly critical of musicians that release the same kind of music, because that's what they do. And these guys have just released lots of football manager games for whatever reason. They just did. But, they just played to their strengths. Their only strength. And it wasn't a great strength, but it was a strength.
But why would you have two? Oh no, we'll get to another one.
We'll discuss
there are questions.
them. We'll discuss them.
There are questions.
Yeah.
But there you go. If you want to support us in our ongoing quest to make it through all these games, you can do that. We have a Patreon. It is patreon.com/Zapped to the Past. Come and join us there for much less than the price of a pint of beer these days, seeing as I think the beer duty prices went up again recently in the UK.
Yes, again.
Which is why I noticed our normal pints went from £8.80 a pair to £9.40.
Goodness me. I'm told that it was £7.50 for a pint of Guinness or something like that.
Oof, good Lord.
Yeah, I know, I'm thinking that. That's a lot of money.
Did Brown Sauce say he was paying something ridiculous last night? The other night he was paying...
Yeah, it was £6 a half, I think he said, wasn't it?
£6 a half, yeah. Oof, that's it. I heard the pocket, innit?
Depends what he was drinking. He might have been drinking, I don't know, alligator blood, for all I know.
Half a whiskey. It's quite cheap for half a whiskey.
No, it's very cheap for half a whiskey, but... They've altered all of it. It's actually had a major impact across all of alcohol, hasn't it? Because all of the alcohol has now had its alcohol reduced in the supermarkets because it's cheaper to keep it under a certain threshold. So all of your beers circa years ago that were 5.5%, they're all down to 4 or less. And you can see your Stellas and your Grolsch's and your other beers, they're all down to less than 4%. So they're about the same as a can of Carling now, whereas before it was always guaranteed to have a bit of an extra hit, wasn't it? There you go. And in Stella's case,
just means probably
an actual extra hit, but... Sorry?
Just means to just buy more of them too. Well, that's probably what they want.
They maybe they do. I don't know. I don't know that's I don't know. Maybe that's how it works.
Not that I'm an alcoholic. I don't get drunk that often.
Well, yeah, you would say that you don't remember because you pass out all the time from so much alcohol. But that's okay.
That's true. That's true. I don't remember the last 5 years of this podcast.
We all have our crosses to bear. That's it. It's just the way it goes.
True. Alcoholism is not something to be laughed about, though. Let's just say that.
It's very serious. No, absolutely. We're not laughing at alcoholics or alcoholism. We're just making jokes about supermarkets that sell alcohol too cheap.
Indeed. We have a Ko-fi as well.
We do.
Not an alcohol-y, a Ko-fi, Ko-fi.com/Step to the Past. If you wish to donate there, you can do that as well. Come join us on social media when I remember to post. Or just, just email us. Or the best thing you could do, if you're listening to this right now, is just hit the rate and review thing. We don't get many reviews. We don't get many ratings. And it'd be cool to just get some as we get towards the end. I think we've put in the hours to deserve maybe just a few seconds of your time. Just a little click, 5 stars.
5 stars.
Yep, we're ace. 5 stars,
like
remember,
it.
5 stars. I'm moving my right hand at you right now. You can't see this, but I'm Darren Brown in you right now. Darren Brown in you. I'm moving my right hand. 5 stars.
Could be Darren Brown. That's possibly his less capable brother, but it's okay.
Darren and Darren. That would not be a good pairing in the house, would it? Darren, your cheese ready. Which one? Oh, it's mine, Darren. Oh, stop doing that thing, Darren. I'm Darren.
Maybe it's one and the same person. He's Darren by day and Darren by night or something like that.
He did it to himself once in the mirror and now can't remember who he is.
Well, it's quite possible. He's got to practice somehow.
He has to, yeah. Anyway, do that. That'd be cool. And much appreciated.
Yes.
Anyway, so we've got some games to get to, as ever. We have another 5 games this week, a bumper week for 1992, I guess. Bumper. So let's get to the very first one of those games. And Graham, it's your turn this week to look at our first game. And that game is BugBomber. Tell us all about it.
BugBomber, $10.99 this was, which is full price to you and me. This was published by Kingsoft. Now, I think they were based out of Germany, and I'm getting the feeling that there's something to do with that magazine that was out there. We've seen that a few times because the coder here was Ivo Jürgen Herzeg. Now, he coded Another World on C64. Not that one, though. Just another game called Another World.
I got all excited then.
It was released. There's a whole bunch of games that some of these guys released, and the graphics here, for example, are Michael Martin Datert. He did the graphics for Guardians 2. His brother did the music. And there's at least 20 games that these guys are all responsible for that we've never looked at and aren't in Zap. So they've been released during the time of Zap, but they were never given to Zap to review. They were kind of released as part of some German magazine or something. There's some reason why they exist. But
is
Zap
that the
never got
magazine
them.
that had the Lost Ninja on it? Did that one?
Yeah, that's that sort of thing. Yeah, so it's not a magazine that we would have here, and I'm not even sure if it's a disc magazine. I don't know the full details. Somebody will probably tell us. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of games there that one day we maybe look at. The musician here, though, Chris Hulsbeck. Now, he's a familiar chappy, isn't he? Giant Sisters, Daenerys, Antics, Grand Monster Slam, Starball, amongst many others. Gemex, yeah. We've seen these people's work here and there, one way or another. Zap have never just had access to the full Monty, as it were, which is an unfortunate metaphor. So BugBomber then. Now, the blurb for this on the back of the box is very short. And I thought it was bigger, but it isn't. It's like 5 sentences. But I did find the instructions, which is good. But they were all in German, which is challenging for someone that speaks no German whatsoever. Thankfully, I have a tool at my disposal, which is, of course, our friend, the AI. So he has translated, she has translated, the AI has translated into the language. Now, according to the back of the box, it says, 1 to 4 players must battle through anything up to 1,600 levels, blasting away the opposition using bombs, missiles, and mines. Eggs come in useful too. That's so true about so many things. They really are a useful thing. As they hatch into robots that search out and splat the enemy, your own private army. Yeah. So that's the blurb on the back of the box. Okay. Really grandiose and a bit weird, but okay. So what's it say on the back? What's it say on the instructions? Well, this is Das Translation. It says game principle, which I'm guessing actually translates to, what you got to do. A player wins once all opponents and their associated helpers have been destroyed. These can be computer-controlled opponents or other players. Up to 4 players can take part. While the 4 differ in appearance and colour, they are otherwise completely equal and have the same chances. According to your preference, you may choose between Punky in red, Martian green, Jailbird in blue, or Neando in yellow. Okay. The idea here, it says there's so many different variations of play for this. I'll come with those in a minute because there's not quite a lot to it, but there's just a lot of options. But principally, when you start the game, you get quite a nice loading screen, I thought. Okay, looks quite nice, quite nicely rendered with what it is. And then you'll get to the quite attractive typeface-looking Terminator, almost inspired typeface of the menu system in this. I quite liked it in its own Terminator-y way. Quite nice. And it's quite big on the screen, which is, gives you kind of, a view. And it gets quite busy when you start loading up the options. So this can be played 4-player by two joysticks and two people on the keyboard, which is quite good. Or you can just play versus the computer mode. You can also choose the intelligence of the computer player as well, which is quite exciting. So you can choose that. And you can also increase the volume of enemies and how they're generated, whether it's random, whether there's a lot of them. So there's quite a lot of ways you can do all of that, which is quite nice. So the opponent mode, like I said, that's up to 4 players. And the aim of that is to win a specific number of rounds. The computer-controlled opponents can also participate with that, and their strength can be adjusted, as I said. And after each round, the score is displayed using trophies. If the computer wins, no player receives a damn trophy. Okay, that's fair. Versus computer, one or more players can attempt 50 levels. They fight together and only lose once all the players have run out of energy. With multiple players, the number of opponents and bonus symbols increases accordingly, which is quite nice. So you can play two-player co-op on that, which is cool. I didn't do any of those things. I played it one player only, but you can do all of that. It's very challenging to play multiplayer with one person. Mm-hmm. So again, as part of the menu system, you can press the F keys and this will change the number of players. The player controls everything with the joystick, of course. And there's a sort of a key way you use this. So there is, when you come to the game, I'll sort of describe this when we get more to the game, but the direction keys and the fire button do different weapons, and they've got multiple weapons you can choose from and multiple eggs as well. So you can do a multi-egg selector. So we'll talk about how that works in a minute. But essentially, when you use the directions to control your bug, they're bug bombing. So whoever you are, the creature that you are, whatever they're called, I can't remember the names now. Yeah. Clyde, Franklin, Johnson, and Pete, whatever they were. And when you're walking around the maze, I'll describe it as, but if you press fire and up, you place a bomb. If you press fire and left, you place a mine. If you press fire and right, you place lightning. And if you press fire and down, you lay an egg. I've always been admiring a game where you can lay an egg. I've always wanted that, and now it's finally come true. And if you press it down repeatedly, you get different kinds of eggs that do different things, which is kind of fair, isn't it? You win the game by, to win a match in the opponent mode against other players, you can select how many game wins there are required. That's one of the options on the menu, so you can choose how many wins are required. So you can set the parameters of the game. And also, like I said, you can choose whether you have no enemies, few enemies, some enemies, medium enemies, many enemies, maximum enemies, low random, average random, or high random, which is quite a lot to choose from. I quite like the fact that you can configure this to sort of different game modes. That's quite nice because it could have just been, go, and then here you go. And the intelligence quota of the computer controlled objects means they behave arguably more intelligently, but they do actually avoid your bombs and things like that if you set that, and your lightning strikes and stuff like that. So there is a little bit of intelligence given to them, though they don't just walk into things. Not that they do anyway, but it does make it quite challenging if you put that up. Really difficult. There are also a whole bunch of passwords that you can use depending on the level you've reached. You can enter those passwords so you don't have to start from the beginning every time, which is quite nice. There's an entire map of those in the instructions, so you can have a go at whatever level you like, which is interesting. And then, of course, you've got a whole bunch of weapons. Now, let's just talk a little bit about how the game functions. So once you've got through all those options, you've chosen what kind of game you're going to play. You're going to be presented with a fairly complex screen. Lots of blobs in there, but it's principally a maze. And in amongst that maze, there's you in the top left-hand corner or whichever corner you're playing. And then you've got to run around the maze and utilize the various different controls to kind of blow up the bugs, hence the bug bombing part. Now, again, you can run around and lay bombs, which will then blow everything up that's close to them. And you can lay bricks and do all of those things. So the various things have different reasons to be in this. So, for example, if you're running around this, you can drop a block. If you drop a block, it prevents other players or creatures from passing, so you can trap things in and move things around. Remember, if you're playing against opponents, as opposed to playing against the computer, these are devious moves you can do, right? So you can run around and just make it difficult or trap people in with other bugs and things like that. You can lay bombs, which destroy the four surrounding squares of that bomb. You can lay mines, which explode when an opponent walks past, or after 10 or 30 seconds at the latest, depending on the IQ. And you can place mines placed by the computer in purple do not explode on their own. So there's extra challenges with that. You can drop some lightning, which rotates briefly, then flies towards an opponent. If no target is found, the lightning disappears. With higher intelligence, the lightning rotates for longer. However, it always spins for a second before flying off, giving the other players or a computer a chance to react. So that's quite good. You don't just get attacked instantly. It sort of spins for a bit. You can see it happening, so you can try and get out of the way. And remember, again, I have to emphasize that really, I think the heart of this game is in its multiplayer as opposed to its single player mode, because this would be a lot more fun to do these things. A bit like playing something like Worms. Do you remember Worms back in the day? When you played that multiplayer, that was far more fun, throwing the bombs and doing all of that stuff and digging tunnels and planting dynamite and all that. Then you've got eggs. Now, you can lay an egg and it will begin to wobble after a while, and shortly after, something will hatch from it. The player can lay 5 different eggs, and the IQ of the creature that hatches depends on the IQ of the player at the moment the egg was laid, which is quite cool. Computer objects you can collect IQ in the game as well. I'll come to that. So the following eggs can be laid by both player and computer alike. You can drop an energy egg. You can drop a painter egg, which changes the colour of the other player's eggs to your own colour, which is quite nice. So they all hatch in the way you want. There's a cruncher, which destroys blocks. And computer crunchers destroy blocks of all colours. Player crunchers only destroy blocks of opposing colours, which is cool. There's a hunter, which pursues other players and creatures. It always targets the strongest opponent on the field, whether player object, or computer. If that target is already being pursued by another hunter, it selects the next strongest and so on, which is quite nice. You've got a killer egg that can place lightning. You've got ghost eggs. We've all had them. Which we can move through walls. There's a runner egg, which is fast and strong. No special abilities. There's a miner egg, builder, flash, and then there's even bonus symbols, which appear dotted around the maze. Like I said, you can pick those up. Energy is self-explanatory because obviously this game revolves a little bit around your personal energy. Talk about that in a second. And then you've got the intelligence, which improves the intelligence of your creatures that you have and those subsequently laid eggs. So the more IQ you've got, the more potent your eggs are, which is quite cool, isn't it? You do have energy in this game. Your current energy supply is displayed on the right-hand side of the screen. Every selected function costs energy that you do, and a player dies when they run out. They get weakened if they run into objects or things like that. And eventually, if you run out, well, you're going to die, aren't you? Simple as that. And then, of course, there are bonuses and things like that. So, like I said, when the game presents itself, you've got a grid, quite a big grid, actually, on the screen. And then on the right-hand side, you've got kind of I'd say the right-hand fifth, maybe, is where you've got the UI for each of the players, 1, 2, 3, and 4. In there, you've got your score. And then there's a little display above that showing you the objects that you've got, the bombs, which egg you're going to drop, that kind of thing. Then in the middle is that middle, and where the game is the grid. On that grid, you've got blocks which you can't pass. You've got a maze type arrangement that you've got to kind of navigate around. That's where you're going to get bugs appear, and you've got to drop your bombs, drop your blocks, trap all the players, do all of that. That's where all the action happens. Once you've killed all the bugs and killed everything and sorted that out, you've won. You'll go into another layer, different maze layout, principally the same look and feel. Maybe the graphics, colours are slightly changed, but principally that's how this game functions. It's on a single screen. Complete that screen, onto the next one you go. Complete that one, onto the next one you go. If you want to go back, you don't need to do anything other than put the code in and try those levels out at different speed, different things. And if you want to then go into doing the multiplayer one, well, that's what you'll do. That's how the game works. Sort of not really a puzzle game, more of just kind of an arcade kind of, did you call it like a Super Bomberman type affair really, or something like that? I never played a lot of those type of games to really know exactly what I'm talking about, but that kind of idea, isn't it? Sort of a single screen arcade type blaster, run around, drop bombs, multiplayer affair. Sort of thing you'd see with 4 joysticks in the arcade, isn't it? And on a big screen, something like that. And it plays pretty well in that respect, okay? It's perfectly serviceable. There's no bugs or anything out. This is half decent. I'm not sure it was Chris Shielsbeck on a great day, but a very okay, tuneful, I think, is always Chris Shielsbeck's thing. I know this isn't his greatest and actually quite short at about less than 2 minutes. It's perfectly serviceable for the load, for the title screen and everything else. The controls, as I said, it's 4-player, though I didn't do that, but I thought it controlled okay. You move the little player around. It's about maybe a single sprite high. There's quite a lot going on the screen, actually, moving around, but nothing seems to bug out or anything like that. That's quite nice. Quite a few levels to go at, 50, which is, gives it enough variation, maybe. Move around that maze, deploy your weapons, blow everybody else up. There's the fun. That's the fun, right? I felt the graphics may be a little bit on the small side. The screen is quite full, so it can be, you could argue it's a little bit hard on the eye, but it is readable. It's not like you can't sort of figure out what's going on pretty quickly. And it's an easy game to sort of pick up and go with. It doesn't take a great deal of time to figure it out. Hence the reason why you don't need a lot of instructions for something like this. And I guess the pace isn't what you'd call frantic, really. And I think maybe it kind of needed it. I don't know, but it's not frantic. It can get busy, I guess, with stuff going on. And I think 4 players might make it feel a bit more frantic, but it doesn't have that. But the game music would have been better, wouldn't it? In-game music. It hasn't got any. Now, I think it's got sound effects, and they're okay for what they are, but I think a game like this kind of, we've said this, and I'm going to be saying this a lot this episode, it kind of hinges on having a bit more, I don't know, music in there and a bit more action, and maybe a bit more reaction. Maybe the game needs to react to things a bit more. So things need to blow up and things need to fly on the screen, and there needs to be a bit more, I don't know, snap, crackle, and pop for something like this, really, for me. I get the idea of that multi-weapon deployment, and that's quite nice. And all these different game types. I mean, I was prone to doing it wrong, I have to say, because I don't know why, but I just seemed to. I want to do a bomb. Oh, I'm not doing a bomb. I'm doing a thing. Why am I doing that? And for some reason, I just couldn't get my head around it. I was always doing it wrong, and eventually you'd perhaps practice and get better at that. But I felt that it meant I was making needless daft mistakes. And, you can't afford to do that in this game, really. And in multiplayer, you can't either. But maybe you'd get used to that, don't know. I wasn't playing this for hours and hours and hours. But the main issue I had with this, really, because there's a very functional game in there. There's two things I took issue with. One was the price, because this is a kind of a $3.99 budget game, really. It's $10.99 is a lot in 1992 for a single screen game of this type, I think, however well-meaning and however well constructed. And the second issue I had with it, it's just a bit boring. And I think that's because as much as there is fun in there, I think it's just a bit repetitive and a bit thankless. And multiplayer might very well be a better experience, I don't doubt that. But the game just lacks that bang and that reaction and that kineticism that a game like this needs. When things bump into things, the screen should kind of shake, or sprites could wobble a bit more or animate a bit more. There could just be a bit more life on the screen. These games kind of live and die by that. So when things blow up, there needs to be a bit more boom. The sound effects need to be a bit more wild, and you need to get a little bit more game reaction. Just feels like they got the excitement and the fun of those things. It's just kind of very kind of pedestrian. And so it's sort of, the fun is what you'd make of it. With three players sat beside you, all screaming and hollering, and you've got bombing, that probably would be, that would be quite an interesting experience. But if in the absence of that, the game needs to put a little bit more effort into the sound design and the actual mechanics of things that happen. When bombs go off, there should be a bomb, big kaboom. When lightning strikes, there should be more crackle. This game just needed a bit more life, because it just didn't have that, even though it had everything else and reasonable game premise of sorts. It made it feel simpler than it was. And what is quite an interesting idea just felt like I was just kind of walking around a maze, putting bombs down. They went kind of boom. And then I'm walking around the corner and I get lightning. It's like, zzz, and then I walk down the bottom and I'm like, I'm going to need to put a block. And then I walk around the corner, bomb, put a bomb. Bzz. It's a bit flat. I wanted this game to have a lot more life, and I'm reminded of other games of this type that we've played where there is a bit more game crazy going on. And sometimes we say it's too much, right? We said, it's just too crazy. It's all got a bit Homer's webpage. I think this one needed a bit of that. Needed a bit of energy in there. I needed to feel like I was somebody running around bombing bugs, not just kind of walking around putting bombs down. Maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. Just a bit pedestrian, and that's a shame. So that was my two biggest problems with it, that it felt a bit boring and pedestrian because it was just a very simple premise, which is fine, maybe a little bit too simple. And a simple premise like that needs to have the pizzazz, just a bit more pizzazz. And because it just lacked that pizzazz, even at this price, it felt a little bit flat for me. So my experience was kind of jaded a bit by that. But there's a game in there, I suppose, just an expensive one. But it got 87% in Zapped, so they liked it. Did you?
Yeah, mostly. I think I can see why they gave it 87%, because I think if this, you got like the environment, I imagine that they probably all crowded around the machine and there was 4 of them playing it. And like you've rightly said, that's where this is.
I can see that being good fun.
And, 2 on the keyboard, 2 on the joysticks, hollering and screaming, because at its heart, this is a decent Bomberman derivative. I mean, it's Bomberman. It's a Bomberman clone. It does add some interesting touches to the mix, and it plays pretty well. I really like, once I got used to them, the different weapons you have and the best way to use them. And I thought it was quite intuitive. Press the fire, push the direction, off it goes. Once you get used to them, laying eggs, things like that. And the game actually played at a good pace too. Didn't notice any slowdown, a lot going on, a lot of things moving around the screen.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
The visuals, they're nothing special, but they work fine. I think Bomberman needs a grid this size. Any smaller, it would. So you're kind of stretching the sort of the resolution, should we say,
and the visual acuity, yeah.
So you kind of, this is any smaller, you'd be done for here. And any maybe bigger, you'd have lost a chunk of the maze, and it's more cramped. So you've got a thin line to walk there. But they work fine, and it's easy to read, like you said. And I think when you realise that anything that's charging about that's not you, kill it, is the thing in it, really. So. I just wish there was a way you could play multiplayer with the multiplayer version of this, not the sort of single player level, but just multiplayer with computer controlled bots.
Yep. Yeah.
So 1 against 3, everyone else. We've seen that. What was that really weird one where you were moving and you were sort of teleporting around, and there was that odd sort of isometric one. But that had bots, did it? And you could do it, but obviously that wasn't running in real time. I guess because this is running in real time. Because, I set it to 4 players, maximum enemies. And I imagine, set it with 4 players, maximum enemies. It was chaos. When I set it to that, obviously the other players weren't moving because I needed 3 other people in here at my computer, and I didn't have that. But I could just kind of get a feel that if you set it to all those enemies flying about with 4 people doing it, I imagine it would be great fun. But in single player, it's just a little dull and rather easy. I found, to make your way through it. And I was just getting through levels. Once I figured out the knack of like, I just need to trap them in, bomb them, kill them, laser, use lightning. Even the harder ones. I was plowing through levels once I got the hang of it. And I was like, it doesn't really change up very much. And like you rightly say, it needs a little, vavavoom, a little pizzazz, a little, spring water. It needs some bush. But it's just not there, is it? Some music, some better sound effects. And it just, what it does is it shows that Bomberman games, Bomberman is a classic, and there's a reason it's a classic because it's played against an opponent with the same skills and abilities as you to really work, and the bombs drop, and you're kind of running around, and it's all chaos, things like that. There was another game this reminded me of later on the just in its viewpoint, which is Choo Choo Rocket on the Dreamcast, and again, that's absolute chaos. I don't know if you've ever played that, but that messes with your eyesight. That game, it's cats and mice. It's just crazy. And these kind of single player games need that, thingy. And like I said, in 4-player with all the lot moving around, it did look like it was capturing that. I just didn't have the ability to play that in that single player game. If I could have had those other three being controlled by computers, or even if just one-on-one, with everything else set to maximum, that would have been a bit of fun, but you just can't do it, and that's a bit of a shame. So I did enjoy this. It's not terrible. It's just a bit dull. I think it's a good attempt. Lots of good ideas. It just needed that single player against bots. I mean, the only thing I can think of is just maybe that's just too much for the 1 megahertz processor in the C64.
Maybe.
To do 3 AI opponents charging about with everything else moving about and stuff like that. Because this kind of looks simple, but I imagine there's quite a lot going on here in terms of processing all the kind of stuff that's flying about and everything.
Yeah.
It's a solid game. It's 11 quid is a big ask, though, isn't it? It is a big ask at this.
It is.
This time and date. So I probably is it a budget game? It sits somewhere in the middle, really. I don't know. I think there's quite a lot in this, but gets a bit samey after a while because of that lack of on your own, and having to always have at least two other or one other player sort of thing to maximize the fun here is a big ask in it. But it's a solid game though. It just lacked that killer mode. That single player mode, which I think would have been better, but I didn't hate it, but I did quite enjoy it. It's not where it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I can see why they gave it that because I reckon they played it under optimal conditions. Yeah. That's probably what I think. But there you go, BugBomber. It ain't bad. It ain't bad, but it's just a bit. If you're going to play it, and it's a tough ask these days, sort of thing. But if you play it with someone else, you probably enjoy it a lot more. I think. Yeah,
I'd recommend that.
It's the conclusion. There we go. That's BugBomber. And not too bad. Let's move on to our second game this week. And well, he's back. Maybe
not as you know him.
However the tune goes in this one.
It's of Indiana Jones, I'll give it that.
This is Indiana Bones. No, it's Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. There we go, the third. This is the third Indiana Jones game that we've looked at, I do believe. Let's hope it's better. Let's hope this is better, really, than either of this. Because neither Last Crusade nor Temple of Doom were any good. Really, we didn't like either of them. In fact, they were pretty rubbish.
Very rubbish.
Yeah, so let's see if this original story of the Fate of Atlantis can buck the trend. So, what exactly is Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis? Well, according to the wiki, Graham, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis is a point-and-click adventure game developed and published by LucasArts, released in June 1992 for the Amiga, DOS, and Macintosh. Almost a year later, it was reissued on CD-ROM as an enhanced talkie edition with full voice acting and digitized sound effects. That sounds good. But wait!
It was good on the Amiga, that.
Yeah, that's not this. That's not this. No, this is Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, the action game. This action game was released across multiple formats at the time. So Amiga, Amstrad, ST-DOS, Spectrum, and of course, the C64. The original design of this was by, I don't know who this works, where the original design, who did what and what, whether it's part of the whatever, but the original design credited here is Chris Gibbs, Graham Ashton, John Dean, Jonathan Court, and Robert Gill. C64 version being produced by Jonathan Dean. He's worked on loads of games, far too many to mention. Far too many.
Big-time producer guy.
Yeah, code by Graham Ashton. He also did something called McDonald Land.
Don't like the sound of that.
Visuals are by Nick Cook. He did the British Aliens game, which we liked. Big Trouble in Little China, which we didn't like. Chase HQ 2, which we did like, I think. Yeah, Night Shift, which we're a bit bamboozled by. And Super Monaco Grand Prix. They're all merging into one. No, I don't think it was. The music is by Martin Walker.
Okay.
So the manual for this provides some story. It goes a little like this. It says, about Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. The year is 1938. Indiana Jones, famed archaeologist adventurer, has come across 2 artifacts, a Minotaur statuette and a mysterious bead that he believes might be evidence that Atlantis did, in fact, exist. It's quite the leap, isn't it?
That's Indiana Jones. There you go. Ever the optimist.
Absolutely. When the artifacts are stolen, Indy discovers that the thief had been carrying a magazine article about a psychic specializing in the lore of Atlantis, Madame Sophia. Turns out to be Sophia Hapgood, a long-ago colleague of Indy's. Indy finds Sophia in New York City, where the thief appears again, this time relieving Sophia of her Atlantean artifacts. If they know they're Atlantean artifacts, then we know it already exists. Surely. Despite his skepticism about Sophia's mystical approach to Atlantis, don't know what that is, Indy agrees to let her accompany him in his search for the fabled island. Indy and Sophia have no way of knowing that the thief is Klaus Kerner, a top Nazi agent working for Dr. Hans Ubermann. Using the stolen artifacts and one of the beads called Auricalcum. Auricalcum. There you go. Auricalcum. Ubermann confirms his theories regarding the incredible energy stored in the beads. Kerner is dispatched on a hunt for the presumed source of Auricalcum, Atlantis. He is determined to succeed in his quest. This is really hard to read. And isn't about to let Indiana Jones stand in his way. Meantime, Indy and Sophia have made their way to Monte Carlo, seeking one Alain Trotter, a dealer in antiquities who they hope can help them in their race against the Nazis to discover the fate of Atlantis. You interested?
I'm intrigued, yes.
Okay. Well, the game begins with a nice series of stills showing the story. These weren't in the version of we played, actually, but you can watch them on YouTube, which I did. It's like a sort of comic book version, and you get a story played out.
In complete silence.
Yeah, it's quite complete silence, which isn't the best. It is probably the best part of the game, though, and promises well more than the final thing will deliver. Once we've watched them, we get to the title screen, we can see some credits, and listen to Martin Walker's version of the classic Indiana Jones theme tune. I say version. Your text the other night was like, "Oh, he's just played it."
yeah. It won't. I wasn't impressed. I mean, I like Martin Walker's music, but the game, no. The music, no.
I got a warning from WhatsApp going, the swear rating in this post is off the chart.
Yeah, I was quite sweary, but
he was.
I'll talk about that when we get to it.
The opening bit is very Indiana. Then it just goes off on one, doesn't it? I don't know. I mean, it's Martin Walker. If you ignore this is Indiana Jones, once it goes off on its own, it's actually not too bad a tune, but it's not an Indiana Jones
very
thing.
Martin Walker, though. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so, it's not outstanding, but it is what it is. The title screen also has the UI on it as well. This stretches across the bottom of the screen, showing a picture of Indy in the bottom left, your score, present location, obviously nowhere at this point, a placard saying Sophia, and another one saying stop in the bottom right. The UI goes up the size of the screen as well. Going up the left of the screen, we have more UI, with the green circle at the top and a red circle below that. On the right, we have your health bar. Okay. There's nothing else to do here but press fire. And we're straight into the first level, Monte Carlo Casino. So before we start, just to say that green circle is supposedly a compass pointing to the exit to the level, and the red circle, I say supposed to be, and the red circle is a timer that activates at certain parts of the game. The game window fits within this UI, this U-shaped UI, taking up less than half of the screen. Like I said, because the majority of the screen is UI. That's because this is an isometric game. It's an isometric view of the game world. The C64 does not generally like that view.
No,
it doesn't do them very well. Controls for this are unpleasant, with left and right to rotate Indy and forward to move him, and supposedly down to use items. That doesn't always work. Pressing space gives you access to the inventory in the bottom right of the UI, and you can move through these with your left and right on the joystick. And there's things like fists, there's some counters, there's a whip. It depends on who you've got. Okay, because you can control both characters, Sophia and Indy. You press C to flip between the two characters. Not that you'd want to. And you press space again when you pick the item that you want to use. Over Sophia's name is a wavy line that's supposed to represent, it says in the instruction, when she's in trouble or low on health, I think, but it's not clear. I don't know. It's always wavy.
I thought it was hair.
When I flick back to she was fine. You're not in trouble.
No.
Stop bothering me.
Lying.
So the first thing that'll strike you are the visuals. The floor here is grey. The world and the people in it are blue. And Indy is green. It's an ugly game with awful choices for colours that I just don't understand. What is this combination of horror? Everything's just black and a single colour. Black and blue, grey and black, green and black. Why is Indy green? I mean, I suppose because it looks like Hero Quest a bit. It avoids the Hero Quest brown and grey. but the majority of the UI is brown. They're obviously stuck for other colours. Why is Indy green? If ever a character could get away with being a bit brown, it's Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
Brown hat, brown jacket, brown trousers.
Brown shoes.
Brown shoes.
And a brown whip.
And a brown whip. He's brown. No, he's green. Bloody Indiana Hulk. Stupid.
I can't get my head around why he's green.
I couldn't figure it. When they came to draw the graphics, I went, there's 16 colours on this machine, don't you? I like green. I always thought Indiana Jones was green. You're an idiot. Get out my shop. So, the manual outlines the levels. I'll just go through them here because they all play the same. They're all rubbish. Casino. You'll start out. That's in capitals. I don't know why. In the casino in Monte Carlo. The roulette tables are rigged. Can you crack the system and beat the house? Find Monsieur Totier and strike the best deal you can for the artifacts and weapons he offers for sale. Keep an eye out for part 1 of the Lost Dialogue of Plato. Why? Now that the Nazis know you're here, you won't be able to get back out through the front door. Once you've figured out your next move, you'll have to find another way out of the casino.
The back door. There you go, figured it out.
Door, probably.
That was a challenge.
Yeah. Naval base. Evade the searchlights. That's in capitals too. So for no
advice,
reason.
though. Good advice, generally.
But it's part of the same sentence, this. Evade the searchlights outside the Nazi-controlled naval base and try to get both Indy and Sophia inside the perimeter fence. Find the secret entrance to the submarine bay below. You'll need to crack a code to access the elevator. Submarine bay. No combat here! Just quick thinking and even quicker action. Uberman's research submarine is about to depart the destination Atlantis. The alarm has been sounded. The Nazis know you've escaped the naval base. Get Indy and Sophia aboard that submarine before the timer counts down and the sub leaves. The loading crane looks like your best bet. Okay. Submarine. Okay. The Nazis know you're aboard. And they've booby-trapped the conning tower before you can search the sub.
That broken caps key was a nightmare when he was typing them out, wasn't it?
I know. Before you can search the sub, you'll have to somehow deal with that bomb before the timer counts down. Make your way into the secret laboratories on board the sub. You'll be confronting Nazi agent Klaus Kerner in one of those labs. And he's armed with acid bombs.
Oh, no.
Why? Find the periscopes. You can steer the submarine to the islands. One of them has to be Atlantis. Don't have to be.
Didn't have to
Islands. These islands might seem identical, but beneath one lies the continent of Atlantis. You'll have to find a way to appease the island's chief before the natives capture you. You'll have to get into the chief's sacred cave, madam. Otherwise, you'll never learn whether you're on the right island.
Oh, dear.
Atlantis. Nazi soldiers are everywhere on the race of Atlantis. You'll have to fight them off as you work out how to activate the Atlantean machines in the outer sanctum. Once you've made your way to the inner sanctum, you'll be under attack by some pretty gruesome creatures. They're probably just green things. Find out where they're coming from and try to put a stop to it before it's too late. Okay, there you go. Each level has its own colour scheme. Okay, so the naval base is mostly brown, so they could have put brown in it. The submarine bay is grey. The submarine is red. The islands are brown, and Atlantis is blue. But that's it. It's blue and black, brown and black. The game itself sees you as Indy or Sophia, wandering around the levels trying to find things in order to progress. But most of the time, you'll be running away from enemies. That's what I found myself doing. You have weapons, the whip for Indy, the high-heeled shoe for Sophia, but you'll be pursued either by Nazis or natives on the island, and combat is basically a case of making sure you have the right weapon equipped and pulling down while you're facing them. They can't just come charging towards you. There's green Nazis. Green is not the colour of Nazi uniforms.
No.
I mean, grey.
For it.
Just grey. Just put grey and black. It would work. I don't understand this game. But you pull down a lot while you're facing them. Eventually, the enemy will be stunned and drop some chocolate. Because Nazis, they're always loaded full of chocolate.
Nazis and their chocolate.
Which you can pick up and get your energy back, except it's dead hard to do that. By then, the Nazis or whoever will have stood back up again and be attacking you again. So you'll lose life, and running away is not an option as they relentlessly pursue you like It Follows. That's what this game reminded me of, making the game very annoying to play. Wandering the levels is a pain as well because this doesn't scroll. It's flick screen isometric. So waiting for the next screen to load in is annoying. Climbing stairs takes forever because of this, because of the nature of isometric stairs and the way they sort of look on the screen. Going up, you'll be part screen. Oh, it's annoying. The compass is useless. I found it just points in a direction that you do not need to go in. I went the way that pointed me and I ended up in a corner. But maybe that was just me. I don't know. The character swapping nature of the adventure could have been quite interesting, but who cares when it's a pig to play and looks bloody awful? It's muddy, indistinct. And why is Indy green? There's no real sound effects to speak of and no music at all. The game feels empty and dull to walk around and engage with. The combat is crap, and the small bit of screen you play on means you'll be waiting for new screens more than you would be playing the game. The story might be interesting, but to find that out, don't play the point-and-click games. Probably infinitely better than this, because once again, they've done indie wrong. This is a poor game. It looks and sounds bad. It plays poorly. It does not really communicate to you what you have to do.
Doesn't.
So I just ended up wandering about trying to avoid green Nazis and figure out what the hell I've got. What am I doing? What's going on? And what that actually entails is right at the beginning, you're sort of facing the person who gives the money out in the chips out in the casino. You have to press U to change your money to chips. You have to select them in the inventory, press U to change them to chips where you start, and then go and bet at a table to make loads of money. Except in the instructions, it doesn't say press U. It says press down. So I didn't know to do that.
Really? You mean you didn't guess?
So until I found that out, the game was broken because the instructions are crap. Nothing makes any sense. All that said, I didn't like this. $11.99 as well. I can't imagine anyone felt good about buying it either. If they did buy it, all I can say is they chose poorly.
Very good.
Rubbish. What did you think?
I felt that when this game loaded, I was being exposed to the opening of the Ark. So I was just like, close your eyes. Don't look directly at it. Close your eyes. It's too late. I was like, I suffered from so many Indiana Jones moments. When the game first lit up, I was like, and I put a scarf over my face like Salah does when he sees that thing. I was continually having moments. At a certain point, I found myself going, like that, thinking, make this game end. This is awful. This is so bad. I think it almost ranks as one of my most hated games on the C64 of all time, because it is picking on the things I hate the most. We know how I feel about bad licenses, right? I made it quite clear, didn't I? Many times over.
You have.
So let me iterate. Let me iterate again. When you've got a license like Indiana Jones, don't cock it up. Don't. It's easy not to. It's easier not to, isn't it? There's some things you can stick to for that. Don't make him green is a good starting point, I think, generally. Don't trap him in an isometric world and make the controls that awful rotate on the spot, push forward to advance. Don't do that. Don't do that. Indiana Jones pretty agile, isn't he? He's used to getting dust-ups and fights. But not in this, he's not. He just rotates on the spot. I'd like to see a version of the film where that's how he walks, where he's like, I must go over there. Marion! Rotates on the spot. Rotates on the spot. The compass is useless. And you know why it's useless? Because it's not pointing in isometric directions, is it? The compass points up. You can't go straight up.
No, you can't.
So it's isometrically challenged. So it challenges you. Whether it's the green compass or the pointless, whatever the red timer thing was, I never actually found a purpose for that. It just was there. It's weird. Why is the image of Indiana Jones? What happened? It honestly looks like he's been dead for like 200 years. It's like a ghost.
Yes, it is.
So he's a grey Indiana Jones. He has got a brown hat, okay? Now, his complexion in there, he looks like he's honestly, like he's on his last legs. He's really dark. He's ill. I think he's ill.
He's drank from the wrong cup, hasn't he?
And then where it says, he looks like the knight, doesn't he, actually, thinking about it? Yeah.
He does.
I knew you'd come. I had so many, like I said, I had Indiana Jones moments. I found myself Mola ramming this game. I'm like, Mola ram. I felt like pulling its heart out. Awful, awful thing. Bad isometric controls. The point of an isometric layout, right, is that let's talk about just the containment of the isometric space. So if you're walking up to the top right, generally speaking, it's a good idea to just contain. I mean, it works in games like Head Over Heels because you're in a contained sort of room in that isometric space. So there's walls around the sides. You walk in amongst them. You go through a door. You go into the next isometric space, which is again constructed of walls and doors and things like that. When you've got this kind of free-form map version, where when you walk up to the top right, it just arbitrarily moves into another space, which seemingly has no purpose. I spent a lot of time moving into map spaces that was just in the middle of another map space that didn't have any purpose. I'm like, it felt weird to do it like that. I mean, it's not freedom, that is it? Flick screen isometric. There's a reason why that's not been around for a while. It was never a good idea. It was crap. So then to fill that with random colours, I mean, what went wrong with the colorization of this game? What genius thought that any of these colours made sense to anybody? I mean, I'm not going to. Maybe they've got challenges. We're not. I don't know. Maybe they're working on a black and white monitor. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what went wrong. I don't quite know why they chose the colours that they did, but they did. I'm not sure what the purple thermometer was for on the right hand side. I'm sure it has a purpose, but
that's your health bar. That is your health bar.
All right. Mine was it was ticking down even though I wasn't doing anything.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing about this game I forgot to mention. You're losing health. It's one of those where you're losing health constantly.
I thought it was that. You see, that's when I had my other Indiana Jones moment.
I did forget to mention that in my review, but yes, it's constantly going down. So for some reason, just walking around a museum will kill Indiana Jones after a while.
So stupid. This game is bollocks.
Yep.
It is utterly awful. There's nothing good about it. Nothing. This is so far from Indiana Jones game that I don't think it is. This is a green cowboy wandering around some kind of saloon, trapped in an isometric blue saloon. And that's the best you can say about it. This has no relation to the Indiana Jones I know of, so much so that even the music that sounds like Indiana Jones. Dun, 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 dun. I'm like, hey, hang on a minute. Now, I used to work with a guy in a warehouse, right? He used to do that on purpose. He used to start off whistling tunes
and go off in a different direction.
Yeah, so you'd get, it'd be like, and you're like, that sounds like Jingle Bells, but it's not Jingle Bells. Don't do that, damn you. And it's like mental torture. So that's what this game reminded me of. That there is nothing good about this. Nothing. Bad controls, bad sprites, bad design, rubbish game. The central idea, that's nothing to do with this. You don't play through that idea. You're never going to. This is so divorced from that game design that it may as well be something completely different, which I suspect it was. There is no way this was an Indiana Jones game. There's nothing Indiana Jones about it. Nothing. I mean, Sophia, for some reason, is faceless, apart from a hairline, I think. I'm not sure what that is. There was 2 stop icons. I could select through objects that meant nothing. I also didn't figure out immediately that, how to play the game because I wasn't instructed on how to do that. So if you didn't know that, I imagine you spend a lot of time just wandering around the casino in the first level, not doing anything and getting killed. Yeah. So there's no real idea of progression. It's just rubbish. It's so shit, this. My hope was that this game would never be found, Adrian. Other things can be found, but this won't. Damn it. Put it in a sealed box, take it into the vault with where the top of the things go, where the Ark of the Covenant is and all the other stuff. Put it in there. Right at the back. Get rid of this thing out of time and space. Don't ever talk about it again. It doesn't exist. It's rubbish. Now, Zapped gave it, 50-odd%?
56.
Dream on. I would have given this 10 less. This is one of the worst. This is not only one of the worst games we've seen, it's arguably the worst license of all time on an exciting license where the game has already been designed and developed on other platforms. So the game exists already. Where that happens, and you've got the Indiana Jones and all the adventures that can come from that, with the backing of Lucasfilm, for goodness sake, at some point must have had something to do with this. When you've got all of that material, and the best thing you can come up with is a green Indiana Jones trapped in a casino, get you idiots.
Published by US Gold, so...
Well, yeah, exactly. Leave it alone, walk away, and just don't get involved. Don't get involved anymore with anything. If this was your legacy, and this is the thing you did, you're bad people. Indiana Jones will find you. He will. You're like an artifact. He'll find you, and you're going in a museum, and that you're going to be trapped behind glass. Rubbish. Hated this game. It's awful. Just avoid it. Don't even talk about it. Let's just move on and forget it ever happened. It's awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Sorry, Indy.
Sorry, Indy. For what I have created.
This is bad dates, isn't it? This kills monkeys. This thing.
Well, when I played this sort of thing, I ate the date because this was so bad. I just wanted to get away from it, so I ate it. I would rather be poisoned.
Yeah, for the first time ever, I was hoping I'd be that guy that spins the sword around. Just shoot me. I'm done. I don't want to play this. It's rubbish.
Yep. Yeah. Dreadful thing. There was Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. Who cares? It's crap. There we go. That's our 2 first games for this week. One's pretty good. One's pretty bad. We're going to go away, take a quick break. I don't know, have a drink at Marion's Tavern in Nepal or something to wet our whistles.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back because we do have film TV to have a look at from July 1992. So please do stick with us.
The novel Escape from the Commodore 64 by David Hearn is out now. Crash landing on a green planet full of vector graphics, can Sarah find a way to escape for real? Or is she stranded on a planet full of sun, sea, and chippy tea forever? Imagine finding yourself in a cinematic karate game, having to rescue a princess or remain stuck under the run-stop key forever. What about finding yourself on a space freighter full of robots? Could you clear the decks? If you were transported back to a Wild West town, having to round up outlaws, could you survive until sunset? What if you were a wizard with a cat who must colour worlds? Could you beat the game, or would a virtual guitar solo announce your demise? Sarah might just be another visitor, but she doesn't want to stay a while, never mind forever. Available from Amazon and all good online retailers, discover if there's a way out in Escape from the Commodore 64. Visit davidhearnwriter.com to find out more.
And we're back. And I didn't want to talk about it again, but I'll tell you what, right? We're talking about Indiana Jones. I'm just going to come back to this. I was teaching my students today, and I was doing a lecture, and part of the lecture was about colour theory and about colours that are associated with characters. And these are sort of 18-year-old first-year students. And I said to them, I went, what colour would you associate with Indiana Jones? And they all went, brown. There you go.
Yep.
Even 18-year-old students know it.
Yep,
and these
exactly.
are games. So I'm not quite sure what went on
Dusty
there.
brown, yep.
Yeah, dusty brown. Right, anyway, July 92, film and TV. What was going on in the land of television? 1st of July, the former BSB satellite Marco Polo 2 is sold to Norway's Telenor and renamed Thor 1.
Of course it was. Of course they're going to rename it that. And then it fired lightning bolts on all who failed to tune into its channels.
Probably. But does that mean there's a Thor 2? Thor 3?
Yeah, Thor 3. Oh, you're so Thor 3.
Thor 3. Oh,
oh, you're so Thor 3. Yeah, maybe there is.
Oh, I've got a Thor knee.
Thor 4 would be awkward, wouldn't it? Thor 4. Thor 4.
Thor 4.
Anyway,
anyways, there's not much going on here. 3rd of July, after more than 7 years on the air.
Non-stop.
Probably glad for the break. Terry Wogan's thrice weekly chat show, Wogan, is broadcast for the final time on BBC One.
Yeah, it was time for it to go then.
Yeah, he didn't like it. I mean, you didn't like his soft Irish charms?
Yeah, I've got nothing against Wogan particularly. I wasn't like fan or not. I quite like some of his radio stuff he did over time. He'd been on telly long enough, Wogan, by this point, and he was apparently a really, really, decent guy. I don't doubt that. And, he interviewed famously quite a lot of famous people. We talked about his David Icke interview, and his show was just running out of steam. He was getting knackered and tired and getting fed up with doing it, I think. There was other shows that were overtaking his. Jonathan Ross was doing stuff by then and other people. So I think Wogan
this kind
just
of chat
sort of
show
seen his day.
format had sort of
it
ran
was
out
Parkinson. He came in a
Yeah.
comeback, didn't he? And he disappeared as well. And I think I think he was ready to go. And he was still on radio, of course. He was still doing radio for quite a long time after this. And his radio show was amazingly popular, even on Radio 2 for a long, long time. He was on there.
Yeah. And he did Eurovision, didn't he?
He did. Like I said, I didn't dislike Wogan. He was quite fun. And his method of presenting and his kind of old school BBC kind of TV charm kind of worked for him for many years. And I think he just got tired and the format got tired and the guests started to dry up a bit and his kind of type of humour with them kind of started to wear a bit thin, I think. So it was just time to end it, I think.
Because thinking about it, Wogan was that chat show sort of style. It was one-on-one, wasn't it? It was never multiple guests, was it? I think it was
one-on-one, yeah. I think he had maybe one or two, I think, because it was like a bit like Russell Harty had a show that was a bit like that, didn't he? Where they maybe had one or two guests.
So
but it was one guest and then he brought another one out, I think. But I don't know. I can't remember. But
it kind of got superseded by the sort of the interview sofa.
Yeah, I
where
guess
you'd have
American style. Yeah,
American style. So you Johnny Cassidy, you David Letterman, and all that kind of thing. Where you have multiple guests, and then they'd move along, and the second one would come out, but they'd be interacting, and that kind of like Jonathan Ross, I think, like you said, was doing that at this point. And I think you've got what's his name? Oh God, he does Eurovision now. Eamon.
Oh, you mean Graham Norton?
Graham Norton, yeah, sorry, Graham Norton, yeah. So he does that sort of couch interview thing now, doesn't he?
He does,
and that's sort of very popular. Yeah. So I think that single one-on-one interview had kind of run its course by this point. I think.
Yeah, I think he had, and I think Wogan had just got. Like I said, I think he just got a bit. I think he got a bit tired in the space.
Yeah,
and maybe
7
wanted
years,
to move.
A long time to do something.
Yeah, and you know what? He was quite a humble guy. He would happily. He did all the BBC Children in Need. He was pretty much ubiquitous on BBC. I mean, he was the BBC, wasn't he? For a long, the big uncle of the BBC.
Blank.
Yeah, he was on TV a lot, and
I
think, like I said, I think he probably needed to retire from one or the other because he was also doing the radio at the same time. I mean, the guy was just BBC to his core. He must have slept on BBC cushions. Now, whose those cushions belong to, I don't know, but he did sleep on them.
He did. 7th of July. This is the date of the initial deadline for applications to run the Channel 5 service. One application to run the channel is submitted by Channel 5 Holdings Limited.
It makes sense.
We've set this company up. What are we going to do?
Imagine they didn't get it.
Did they get it? Is the Channel 5 Holdings actually limited get it? I don't know if they did.
I don't know. Well, I suppose we'll find out because Channel 5 isn't far off from being launched in the UK at this point.
Yeah, we'll find out. But yeah, I hope they did get it. Maybe 18th to 19th of July. ITV stages its third and final nationwide telethon fundraising effort.
Yes.
The 28-hour show attracts criticism from disability campaigners who protest outside London Weekend Television's headquarters.
They did.
Feeling that ITV's charity appeal films for the programme used pitiful stereotypes that will not help them to achieve equality.
Yeah,
so I was completely unaware of all of this. Yeah,
right,
but
okay.
so... this kind of the controversy around the telethon. I remember the telethons, but I don't remember the controversy around them. And so I found a sort of 40-minute like history of the telethon on YouTube and had a watch of that, and you can kind of see why, because the whole notion of it was that they ran 3 big telethons. The first one was actually just on Thames TV in 1980, I think it was. Then they ran 3 big ones: 1988, which was ITV wide. 1990, 1992. So in comparison to things like Comic Relief and Children in Need, where there was a very targeted, this is where your money is going.
Yeah.
The telethons basically just said, we're going to help disabled people.
Yep.
And that was all the detail. They never said how, where it was going. They filmed them, there's never any kind of anything like that. And that's why people with disabilities were like, well, this isn't, in the way you're filming us and you're making us, aren't we, you've lent us a hand basically and it was just annoying them so much that the third one, this one, there was actually protests within about half an hour. They sort of stormed into the studio and stuff. It's a good watch to watch. We'll link to this short 40-minute thing, and it is actually quite an interesting watch. I sort of watched all of it and I was like, I learned something. That was quite good. But you could see how, and basically those telethons were shit, just really, really bad content and stuff in comparison to the more focused shorter BBC ones. And you can see that they were much better.
Well, yeah, because they ran out of inspiration. They were continually going to the regional centres. So, it would be there'd be the central hub where you'd get some bigger stuff, bigger name stars, and then it would then shoot off to the various regional centres which didn't have the same name brand. So we had Richard Whiteley in a studio with a bunch of people dressed in different tinsel outfits, from what I could gather, sort of screaming and shouting, and all they kept doing was going, how much have you raised? How much have you raised? And it would go up to the big totometer, whatever you call them, and we've got to 6 million. Great, let's have some footage. And the problem they had was that they just paraded disabled people on in a variety of things without any real definition of what was going to help, like you say, how they were going to be supported, what the cause was. So it was just people being, I guess, displayed on television, and just and it made them look a bit like, look at the sad, pitiful disabled people, help the poor disabled people. Not because disabled people are they're disabled, but they're not. They do and have lives, and they're they can achieve all sorts of amazing things. And and take a look at the Paralympics to see how far that can go. So to portray them in this kind of pitiful, almost Elephant Man style, sort of sideshow, freak show kind of thing, help these poor people because, look how disabled they are. Not, we're helping charities to support disabled people so they can do these amazing things and do these other stuff and live perfectly normal lives by setting up housing for them and support and all of that. Not that, just look at the disabled people. And it was, the footage I saw was exactly like that. And they'd actually have all the famous ITV stars come on. You'd have Cilla Black come on and go, hello, surprise, it's Cilla. Look at all these disabled people and how disabled they are. They really need your help. Thanks, Chuck. And you're like, well, I'm not, I'll give you the money because obviously it's an appeal. But what am I helping? Where is it going? What's the purpose of this? And they had a long way to go before they were going to reach the heights of things like Children in Need or Comic Relief, of course. But this was their attempt, wasn't it? But this was the last one they did because of exactly that. I think they got stung with this as well because it never raised nearly as much money as they thought it would. It raised a lot, but in comparison to something like Children in Need, which was into the sort of 20, 30, 40 millions, I think, or some crazy numbers at the end of that. These were way, way less than that. And of course, then it had to be divided up by the regional centres. Richard Whiteley's fee needed paying, probably. I don't know what he charges.
Well, that was the other thing that was accused of. It was 28 hours of cheap TV that was basically just there to provide a lot of advertising because it's ITV, so they can make quite a lot of money off this for low outgoing.
That. And they did really stupid, obvious things, didn't they? So, like Coronation Street, they get Coronation Street stars, and in the middle of a Coronation mini episode of Coronation Street, they'd be like, "Have you spoken to David? No, oh, he's over there helping that disabled lad across the road. Look." And it was like that. It was as obvious and as horrible as that. It really was like that. It was crap as that.
It was as crap as that, yeah. And so it never went anywhere, and it failed, and then they stopped it. And there was also the Thames TV one was hosted by Rolf Harris, the guy who does the process, calls him that bastard, which is quite funny.
That's right.
It's a good little documentary. It's the Sad Life, but it's by, I can't remember who it's by, but we'll put a link in the show notes. And then there's also in the clips of at the end of one of them, I was horrified to see Lionel Blair with a mustache, and that didn't work.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
It took him years to grow that.
It was the thinnest mustache ever. Errol Flynn would have been. It was too thick for Errol Flynn. It's too thin for Errol Flynn. Sorry. It was dreadful. Anyway, there you go. Telethon. It died a death. 25th of July, though, to the 9th of August, the BBC becomes the exclusive broadcaster of the Summer Olympic Games in the UK when it shows live coverage of the 1992 Summer Olympics in Barcelona, Spain. Around 15 hours a day of live coverage are broadcast, although games coverage is interrupted for coverage of other sport, mostly cricket and horse racing, rather than showing non-Olympic sport on BBC Two. Eurosport also shows the event and devotes its entire output to the games. And can you guess, Graham, what the theme tune they used for the opening titles was?
Let me think. Would it be Barcelona? By any chance?
Ding! You are right. Of course
You're
it was.
right.
Of course it was, yeah. And it wasn't a particularly great opening scene. Lots of shots of Gaudi buildings. I seem to recall from
that's
right.
right.
Look, it's Barcelona, look. There's a Gaudi building. There's
Check
another
out
one.
Barcelona on that. Look at all those Barcelona buildings. Yeah, it was a bit like that.
Yeah,
never mind the amazing buildings that are actually there as well, but never mind that.
Yeah, all set to the music of Barcelona. The most recent one, I sort of did a compare and contrast like we did for the Euros, is a lot better. It's a really good intro. Yeah. The one for France in 2024.
Yes.
It's really good animation.
Again, honestly, they have invested in the animators. Goodness me. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just the pace, the animation, the sort of feel, the beat, just everything. And it actually shows events, not buildings.
Yeah, just... They know what they know. They've got it kind of cracked, haven't they? The sports.
Yeah.
That somebody who's working at the BBC knows their graphics, don't they? It's got a long way since the old Quantel paint box.
Yeah, very much so. They're very good at that. New shows. Oh God, 6th of July, El Dorado started.
I never watched it.
The ill-fated Spanish. It was BBC soap opera that was supposed to be a rival. Sort of be like EastEnders. Set in Spain, set in the fictional town of Los Barcos on the Costa El Dorado in Spain, followed the lives of British and European expats. The BBC hoped it would be successful as EastEnders and replicate some of the sunshine and glamour of imported Australian soaps, such as Home and Away and Neighbours. It did not do that. No, I had to watch a lot of it because my partner at the time had a massive crush on Jesse Birdsall, who was in it.
Right, okay, yeah. I can't remember his character, but he was a arsehole, wasn't he, the guy in it?
Yeah, he was. And so I had to watch quite a lot of it. She was always watching. I was like, this is shit. Why are we watching this? Sure, she'll be on in a moment. Okay, great. It was dreadful. It only lasted a year and then went the way of Triangle, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Remember that too.
Absolutely bloody awful, El Dorado. I mean, some people liked it, didn't they? I never watched a single episode, thank God. I was aware of it because it was massively advertised on the BBC. I mean, they were really giving it some. But yes. I'm trying to remember the name of the character in it because my friend Simon, who was a long-time friend of mine at the time. I've not seen him for quite a while, actually, but he was a massive El Dorado fan. But it was just because of that character. Yeah, he kind of really liked the sort of sleaziness. He was like the Dirty Den version of Dirty Den for it, wasn't he? But I can't remember his name. Was it Marcus Grundy or Marco? I can't remember his name. To Google that.
It might be Marcus something. Marcus Tandy. I don't know.
Something like that, yeah. But anyway, rubbish. Yeah, rubbish.
23rd of July, there was Night of the Red Hunter. This was... where was this from? This is not from here. This is New Zealand or Australian, I think.
Sounds like it.
Children's sci-fi mystery horror. Runaway children Peter and Maggie meet when Maggie tries to steal some chocolate bars and doesn't go according to plan. Their adventure continues when they fall into a grave at a farm cemetery. When they wake up, they are at the house of the Piper family. Things get strange and it seems that an asteroid is on a collision course with Earth and the children are the only ones who can stop it. Ish Murdy, a villainous character, almost causes doomsday. The Pipers run away and the children are left to deal with Nimrod.
I feel like there's giant gaps in that story there.
You can watch it. It's all on YouTube. We'll post the link if you fancy watching Night of the Red Hunter. I think it is Australian. I think.
I'm not going to watch it.
I can't remember which. No.
I admire their commitment to calling a villain in it Murdy. The murderer is called Murdy. All right. He is what he is.
Which one is it? Who killed everyone? Was it Colin? Was it Betty? No. Was it Murdy? I think it's here. I think it's there.
Murdy, did you murder these people, Murdy? No. Well, you certainly sound like you did.
Yeah, you do. Speaking of murder, Graham, on the 24th of July, you could have watched Virtual Murder.
You could have.
God. An investigative drama series shown on BBC television. It starred Nicholas Clay as Dr. John Cornelius, a psychology lecturer at a provincial university, and Kim Thompson as his partner, Samantha Valentine. God, those names. Complementing the occult elements and those of virtual reality, there was a thread of playful, sometimes dark humour running through the script and an underlying sexual frisson between Clay and Thompson. I read that and went, well, this is prototype X-Files, isn't it?
They think so. I mean, there's a little bit
it is.
Sapphire and Steel in there.
It predates X-Files, doesn't it? This?
It does, yeah. But it's Sapphire and Steely, which kind of predates them as well. So it's got that vibe.
I suppose, yeah. But the first, the complete series is on YouTube, and I made Graham watch the first 3 minutes of the first episode.
Why did I watch that?
They're called Jesus Christ. What was going on? What happened? I couldn't make it out.
I don't know. I just kind of got lost in it was just the bizarre outfits that got me, that had clearly been constructed out of shower parts, I think. So there's these people I'm guessing they're meant to be virtual reality outfits. It just looked like he was chained to a chandelier in a blue play suit, with a mixture of classic, get some tubes and pipes, glue them together, double-sided sticky tape for speed. It looked like that had been made in Blue Peter. And then it was to the virtual reality world, wasn't it? And VR was becoming this thing that everyone was talking about VR in the early 90s, because it was this super wonder thing that was going to take over the world.
We saw it with Lawnmower Man, didn't we?
Oh, we saw it with Lawnmower Man. This is like the TV version of Lawnmower Man. So this is, I don't know, Shower Guy. Bloody awful. And it made no sense. And the effects were crapola. BBC effects and the awful BBC soundtrack. And now I'm a big advocate of the Radiophonic Workshop of the BBC. Those guys did amazing stuff. This isn't one of their finest moments. It's got that classic. As soon as you hear the music, you think that's a BBC production, a low budget BBC production, because it shouts it from the rooftops. But it was just rubbish. Rubbish.
Yes, not very good. 26th of July, there was TV Squash.
There was. Never watched it or heard of it.
I don't know. British satire show made by Yorkshire TV. Each of the 6 episodes parodied the day's television on a particular channel, squeezing the content into half an hour. Never watched it, never heard of it.
No.
30th of July, there was Me, You and Him.
Never watched that either.
No, Hugh Dennis, Nick Hancock and Steve Punt. Sort of, I guess it's a sitcom. I don't know.
Yeah, which is a bit weird, but I can sort of see how it might work, maybe, but I'd have to watch it. But I quite liked Punt and Dennis, so maybe it's all right.
Maybe. 4th of July is Pro Stars. This is weird. This is a cartoon television show featured on Saturday Morning Cartoon. It basically started in the US, and we used to the US. 3 professional athletes from that era appear in the show in live action as fictional superhero characters: Wayne Gretzky, Bo Jackson, and Michael Jordan.
Yeah, not going to appeal to me.
Not at that point, no. And finally, 5th of July, there was Take 5. I put these in order, didn't I? This was some odd kids thing. Basically, it was like 5 short, usually cartoons. So Ivor the Engine, Perishers, Fred Bassett, those kind of things. Although there was one that it had some character, it was some like exercise thing, and it had a character in it, which was a full-size person in a bear outfit called Choggy Bear.
Right, well, that wouldn't have been on my radar.
No, what am I at the time?
Ran for a while, didn't it? Goodness, 4 years. Wow, okay.
Yeah, well, easy enough to do, isn't it? It's just basically kids stuff at like 7:30 in the morning. Just five.
Yeah, I suppose
5-minute cartoons. That's what it was. Films. What was going in the film world at cinema? 3rd of July, you could have gone and seen The Rapture. One of the only ones. A telephone operator living an empty, amoral life finds God and loses him again. A bit careless, if you ask me.
Very careless.
Yeah, Mimi Rogers and David Duchovny.
Okay.
Ever heard of this?
No, never heard of it.
No. I thought you might have, because David Duchovny's hair is shapely.
Yeah, that's got to be a wig. I don't know. David Duchovny, he often plays that kind of character, an empty, amoral life. Isn't he in an entire TV series where he plays a character that's that? So just typecast.
Californication?
Yeah. He's in that. And he's
I don't think that's him, though. I think it's Mimi Rogers who's the main character in this.
With that hair, that's definitely in that picture. That's definitely David Duchovny.
David Duchovny, but Mimi Rogers is the amoral. She's a telephone operator, not him. I think that's her partner or a husband. I just picked that picture. It was in the trailer, and it was like, Duchovny.
I'm never going to watch that, and I never will.
No, not a lot of people did. It with very little box office when I had a look. If you didn't fancy that, there was The Butcher's Wife.
Again, not on my radar.
I had heard of this. A clairvoyant impulsively marries a butcher, moves to York City, There's a positive impact on the people she meets, changing their futures, which in turn changes hers. Demi Moore, Jeff Daniels. It's a bit schmaltzy, this. Schmaltzy,
True.
I seem to remember. One for you, Graham. You just took this for the team, didn't you? You can also watch Sleepwalkers.
Oh, this film was so crap. This is written by Stephen King.
Yeah,
in fact,
the
he's in
original
it
stories,
briefly.
yeah.
In fact, this has got ridiculous cameos in it. Every horror director you can think of appears in this. Mark Hamill's in it at the start, for example. He's not an actor, but it's got Toby Hooper. It's got Joe Dante. All the horror directors of the time. Clive Barker's in it. There's a whole bunch of them. This is directed by a guy called Mick Garris. May not be a name familiar to you. Did Critters 2. Wrote the screenplay for The Fly 2. So he wrote Critters 2. And wrote something called She-Wolf of London.
That was
Didn't
that
really
crap
do
thing
a
we
lot
watched.
of directing. It was. He didn't do a lot of directing. He did a lot more writing. So his director credits. There's a few things on the Internet Movie Database for him. I'm just looking. Once Upon a Time. Tales of the Crypt, Freddy's Nightmares, Psycho 4: The Beginning, The Stand TV series, the miniseries. He did some of that. Nothing that's going to make. He did a miniseries of The Shining, which was crap. He did the others, but that was the TV
Why does he
series
keep getting
of the others.
work?
Well, he's done a lot of stuff, but it's mostly TV stuff. He's done even another thing called the Masters of Horror TV series, so he directed some of that.
Oh, I remember that.
But he directed this bloody awful film based on a Stephen King story about vampire cat people. Now, I don't know what Stephen King was smoking when he wrote that. I'm guessing it was strong, though. Absolutely bloody awful, this thing. Now, this starred a very young, pretty Magina Mick, though. She's the only thing that was worth watching it for. And she's actually quite good in it in her own way. Makes quite good on what there is. And it's got Alice Krieg in it as well. She plays one of the two vampires. I guess they're vampires, really, but they're kind of life vampires. They suck like life out of young teenagers and then move from town to town, avoiding all cats because for some reason that's never really explained, they're just allergic to cats. And it's based on some weird Egyptian mythology for no reason whatsoever. No reason. It's just, you know that because it's on the opening credits, which, by the way, rank as the stupidest opening credits of all time. So it's just footage of Egyptian hieroglyphs, which have been badly drawn to have cat people in them that sort of look like the vampire cat people. So it's like, hang on a minute. I get that they're kind of hieroglyphs, but I'm pretty sure the Egyptians weren't obsessed with cats. No, one of the cats is a deity. I'll give it that. So you're kind of mocking Egyptian deities. That's not a nice thing to do, is it, really? Anyway, the story is there's two vampire-y cat people. They move to a town, and he has to procure young teenagers, virgin teenagers or virginous teenagers, to take to his mother, who will then absorb the life, or as she calls it, she eats them because she's hungry. I'm hungry, Charles. Charles Brady is played by Brian Krause, a young Brian Krause. Okay, Alice Krieg plays, and she looks a bit like Carrie's mum in this, but it's not that. And then Magina Mick plays Tanya Robertson, the victim in all of this, who is going to get vamped if she's not careful. Cue lots of random, crazy stuff in this. I mean, really random. Lots of early CG morphing effects for no reason whatsoever, and they're quite bad. Bad rubber suits, really bad people setting on fire effects that are awful. For reasons I can't explain, he makes cars vanish and change shape because that's something that vampire cat people can do. It can also, and there's a really funny bit where the main actor in it, Brian, who plays this Charles Brady character, he's not what you call intelligent in this film. He's kind of a dumb idiot. And there's a really weird incestual relationship that's played out throughout with his mother. It's really uncomfortable at times because even though you know it's fiction, it is quite graphic in what they do with each other. You know, it's quite sexual. So you're like, oh God, this is a distasteful thing anyway. But there's a really funny bit in it, amongst several, where they can make themselves invisible because they can. And he's actually quite badly injured, the vampire guy, because the cat landed on him and scratched his face, and so he's all mauled and he's screwed up. So he's laid on, she thinks he's dying, and they have to make themselves invisible so the police who burst into the house don't get them. So she goes, Charles, make yourself dim. You need to make yourself dim. I'm thinking, he's already pretty stupid, so you don't need to go too far down that road. But it is, I don't know why, it just made me chuckle. The film's utter shit, utterly shit, with one stupid scene after another. Really stupid violence for no reason. A police guy that just happens to drive around with a cat that's the key to the whole thing in it. It's just really dumb. It's really dumb. I'm not sure what the appeal was. And I went to the cinema to see that stupid film. God,
did you? Wow.
Yeah, I went the week after I went to see Lawnmower Man. I went to see that. God, what was wrong with me?
You were on a winning streak.
It's got some names in it. Ron Perlman's in this. It's like I said, Clive Barker, Stephen King, Joe Dante, John Landis is in it. Toby Hooper's in it. To name but some of the directors that appear in one scene.
I reckon you went because this was probably getting a lot of pages in Fangoria and Gore Zone at the time.
Oh yeah, because there was loads of old school, bone breaking, snappy wrists, people getting shot, lots of. But when you actually see the vampire cat people, there's a really funny moment when the police guy drives alongside. He's speeding in his sports car, and the police guy pulls alongside him and looks at him, and he goes, "Hey, pull over." And he's just laughing in his face. Yeah, and then he shows him his cat. For some reason, the cat just appears. The police cat that's in the police car just goes like cats do, and then he's like, "Ugh," and his face goes. It's like moans and goes in and out of this kind of cat morphing, kind of morph cat face, human face, and you're like, when they actually show what they look like, really stupid. Really, they look like the cats out of the film Cats when they're human cats.
Yes.
But when they turn into full-fledged rubber cat people, it ain't good. Nothing's good about it. Nothing whatsoever. Nothing.
So, but you're pleased you wouldn't spent your money on going to see that?
When I rewatched it for this podcast, it was so bad. I was like, why? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I watching this? It's so shit. Why am I doing that? I thought it was bad enough with Loma Man. There's nothing redeeming about the Sleepwalkers. At least I had a mad monkey in it. This ain't got any of that.
In a nappy.
Yeah. Rubbish. Utterly rubbish.
If you didn't fancy that, and why would you? You could have gone and seen The Best Intentions.
No.
Probably not. I mean, in 1909, poor theology student Henrik falls in love with Anna, the intelligent daughter of a rich family in Uppsala. After marrying, Henrik becomes a priest in northern Sweden. Urbane Anna hates living in the county, growing restless. There you go. This is based on a screenplay. It's a film from a screenplay by Ingmar Bergman. Max von Sydow's in it, to no one's surprise.
Yeah, no. It's never going to be in the Grimsby cinema, that.
Never, ever. 10th of July, there was Big Wednesday. Obviously, re-release of the 1978 John Milius film about surfers. I ever wonder if this came out because Point Break.
Yeah, totally.
Had a bit of a resurgence in surfing interest, I suppose, maybe. I couldn't see any reason why this was re-released.
No. It's argued that it's the greatest surfing movie of all time, Big Wednesday, by people who were surfers.
Yeah, it was a real flop at the time, though. Real flop.
Yeah, so it's never going to be a huge hit, but it's come to be a sort of a cult appreciation thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's got that dude out of Conan in it, Super Ties in it, isn't he, as well?
He is, yeah, and Stringfellow Hawk.
Yep. It turns out he's a thief, archer, and surfer.
Who knew? He surfs. He cannot surf, so I surf for him.
That's fair. Conan's not going to be a great surfer.
I don't think he is, no. He's going to go straight in the drink, isn't he? If you didn't fancy that, then there was Batman Returns, which a lot of people went to see. Obviously,
yeah, big deal popular. That wasn't it when it came out. Yeah. So
I rewatched this last night. I gave this another watch last night to sort of see, what I thought about it. So this is the one with Penguin and Catwoman and Max Schreck and things like that. It's interesting, this one, because it's very different to the first one. In as much as all those sort of 90s, late 80s, mid 90s Batman films are all quite different to each other, but this feels like a very step change to the first one. And I was reading around on why that is. And basically Tim Burton obviously directed the second one as well. He wasn't going to do it. He refused. He said, no, I don't want to do a sequel. It's a stupid idea. And he didn't want to do it. And then he agreed under the fact that the producers of the first one, Goober and Peters, I think it was, they were at the picture because he basically described the first Batman film as an okay film, but loads of it's really boring because they were just interfering with it all the time. So the first Batman film is not, he doesn't declare it as really one of his films. He doesn't, he's like, there's not much of me in it. The second one, he basically said he'd do it if he had much, much more creative control. So they got rid of the first writer. He brought in a writer that he liked. He got a load of his own cinematographer and all that kind of people on it. So it feels much more like a Tim Burton film, for better or for worse. And there are some ways in which that works, and there are ways in which that kind of doesn't work in sections of this. I think the main problem with this is that Batman's hardly in it.
Yep. And
that's a weird thing. And when he is in it, he's just kind of standing there looking a bit odd. It's like really stiff. Batman's really weirdly stiff in this. It's like, don't really do much.
That suit.
Yeah, exactly. But it didn't seem that in the first one. He seemed a bit more with it, and I think that's a symptom of your three bad guys. If you put too many bad guys in, you've got to give them characters, you've got to give them sequences, you've got to give them depth. If you do that, that takes screen time away from Batman. I'm not saying everyone should be saying where's Batman, but it's kind of loses the point of the film. It's called
Batman Returns. I mean,
yeah, exactly. But
you expect him to be in it, returning.
Yeah, he's not really in it that much. But what that means is that the film kind of rests on Pfeiffer and DeVito, and luckily they're really, really good in this, in their respective roles. Catwoman and Penguin are really good. I love DeVito's Penguin. He's really weird. He's really, really oddball sort of thing about how they sort of envisioned him, because they were like, because they didn't want Penguin. The original thing was to have Two-Face as the idea, but they were like, no one knows Two-Face. The next best, what everyone knows, are Catwoman and Penguin, so we need them in it. And so they reimagined him as this kind of weird animalistic thing, which is why all the penguins and stuff and that. So it's so it was kind of an interesting watch in that, like, they wanted Batman to kill people as well, which he does in this. You know, he blows one person up, then he chucks them down a mine, chucks them down a hole with a bomb attached to him and blows them up. So all things like that were kind of introduced under sort of, because that's what kind of Burton wanted and the writers wanted to some degree. And it kind of has a really different feel. And I also think it's weird because it feels really claustrophobic, this film. There's about 5 locations. And there's about 40 people in it. When they have crowd scenes and it's like when they go, population, when all the penguins are going to release their missiles for some reason, which is never really explained particularly well. It's like, casualties are estimated at like 100,000 or something. I was like, Gotham City's only got about 50 people in it. There's about 3 shots of it. So it's an odd film in the way that in its sets, it feels really small. The first Batman felt much bigger. This feels really condensed, and it's an odd stylistic choice. And I think that's Burton likes to kind of work in that sort of style. If you think of Scissorhands and the Castle and things like that, he likes that kind of thing. So I don't know. I mean, I said before we discussed it, because I hadn't watched it for a while, that it was my favorite. I still think it's the best of that lot. It's just a weird, odd film, and it feels much more like a Burton film than I remember it doing, and much more than the original Batman. I mean, you've watched it recently. What's your thoughts on it?
I rewatched all the Batman movies, right back to the beginning one, and then I even watched the original Batman, the 60s one, that movie they made, because I like that silly bit, What Do You Do with a Bomb in it. But anyway, this one, I found it was too gothic for its own good. It took the idea of Gotham too far down the gothic road. And so most of it's kind of in dark, rainy or snowy, or just it's very Tim Burton, as you say, and his creative control takes over what should have been about Batman, and it becomes just about Gotham, really, and these weird things that happen in and around Gotham, and not a lot happens in it. And I found it a bit going in too many directions at once, and it was clear that Tim Burton couldn't handle something with that many main characters, because you don't really know to focus on. Is it about Batman? Is it Catwoman? Is it Penguin? Is it
Shrek?
Christopher Walken's character?
Yeah, Max
so
Shrek.
I found myself just being pulled in too many directions, not really knowing whose side I was on, and not really understanding where Batman fitted into it. And it's just a bit incoherent. And he's wrapped that incoherency in lots of complex gothic architecture. And it's the exact same problem, ironically, that the most recent Beetlejuice film that he made has, is it's of Beetlejuice, but it's just filled with Tim Burton-y stuff. It lacks the visual cues and the nods to the Batman universe that the first Batman had, where he stood on the church top and there's the moon and there's just little sequences that are proper nods to cartoon comic Batman. This lacks those, and it's more of a kind of gothic exploration. And as much as I like that darkness of it, that idea of these characters are all kind of in the dark. He is a Batman at the end of the day. Bats don't, walk around in the daylight sort of out saying like, they're famously quite in the dark. And I like that about it, that this is dark side to everybody. I just don't think it kind of worked. I mean, thank God, it's just good job he stepped away, because the films after this one are really bad, and they get really bad until Christopher Nolan steps in and goes, hang on a minute, mate, let me sort you out. But this is the last good. This is the last good first iteration of Batman sequel, because the sequels are never as good. Even the latest sequels.
Forever and Batman and Robin are not good.
Oh, they're absolutely awful films. So it's the best of those in terms of its sequel, but it's just not a very good Batman movie. I think that's what I struggled with, which is a shame, because I quite like that version of Batman in it.
Yeah, he's just not in it enough.
No, I liked his version of Batman, the way he did Bruce Wayne and Batman. I liked that version. I didn't like the versions that came afterwards, whether it was George Clooney or whether it was Val Kilmer. They're awful bat people. Can we call them Batmen? Batman men. Batmen. Where's the plural of Batman?
Batmen?
Batmen? I guess it's Batman. Batmans. I don't know. But what's the collective name for Batman? A cluster of Batmen? I don't know.
A Batman.
Whatever it may be. Up until the later Batman iterations, I liked that Batman. And when I went to Universal Studios a while back now and saw all the Batmobiles, because they're all the full-size vehicles that they made for them are all in one big place. You can go and look at the Batmobiles inside a Universal Studio in Los Angeles. And the early Batmobiles, the big sort of long-nosed sort of Batmobiles, they're far more like a Batmobile in my mind. When I saw it, I was like, that's a Batmobile, not this kind of war tank from the Nolan movies. That looked like a Batmobile. It looked like something gothic-y, but with a big turbojet on the back. And that did stick out. I was like, actually, the vehicles and the space of it, they're quite good. The version of Batman and his cave and everything is great in Tim Burton movies, but the rest of it kind of fell by the wayside, it seemed.
Yeah, indeed. If you didn't fancy Batman Returns, all these films begin with B on this day. There was Big Girls Don't Cry. They Get Even.
Never heard of that, had you?
No. A girl fed up with her quirky, dysfunctional family runs away from home, causing all of them to spend time with each other. Never heard of it.
Yeah, never heard of it.
Anything about it. 17th of July, there was My Cousin Vinny.
It's a good film, that.
It is quite funny, yeah. Ralph Macchio, Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
No, what's the name? I can't remember her name. What's the name? I'm going to have to look it up now. It's going to annoy me. Marissa Tomei, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
The thing. It's so basically two young guys get sort of holed up in court, don't they, in Middle America, and they call in a New York lawyer who's got no trial experience, who's Joe Pesci. Kind of a comedy, fish out of water type thing, but as you've rightly put here, has the Superman punch, which is really funny.
Yeah, I remember you actually showing me that on video at some point, and going, "You got to see this punch." And I never even had any context for it. It was just like, you got to see this punch. And there it was. It was a punch, all right. I mean, you can't mistake it.
It's very good. But it's funny. It's, it's a kind of comedy trial type thing. Something that you would kind of put me in the mind of some of the sort of escapades in something like Better Call Saul. I don't know if you've watched that.
I have watched that, yeah. It's that sort of thing, actually. Yeah, I get that.
It's that, the sort of clever... The guy who you think he's out of his depth, but he's kind of street clever in court, that sort of thing. Yeah. It is all right. I should watch it again. I think I will actually watch it again because it brought it back to my attention. I do remember quite liking it.
And Marissa Tomei is an amazing woman. She never ages. Have you never noticed that with Marissa? She's 61 now. She looks exactly like she looks there. She just doesn't age. Yeah. And Ralph Macchio is the same. He doesn't age either, does he?
No. No.
Joe Pesci does.
Marissa, he's very aged. You think they sort of... He's the Dorian Gray painting for the pair of them.
Maybe. I think maybe that's where it's got it from. But I mean, she looks amazing considering not that she's older at 61.
Was she the mum in the recent Spider-Man films?
Yes. Believe she is, yes.
Yeah, yes.
That's Marissa Tomei. She's in that movie with, What Women Want. She was in that with Mel Gibson. Yeah. And she was in The Guru as well, I think. I seem to remember.
I don't remember that. Who's in that? Yeah. I remember the name.
Marissa Tomei is in it. No,
who's the guy in it? Who's the guru?
Oh, he's that British actor, isn't he? I forget his name now. He was in My Beautiful Laundrette. I can't remember his name, but he was in that.
Okay. If you didn't fancy My Cousin Vinny, you should have done. You could have watched Revenge of Billy the Kid.
I want into westerns.
You want a western? Have you not read the write-up of this?
Well, Billy the Kid's a western.
Yeah, this is Revenge of Billy the Kid.
Farmer
impregnates goat. Goat gives birth to mutant offspring Billy. Yeah. Farmer's sons torment Billy while daughter sympathises. As Billy grows, he seeks revenge against his tormentors. This is one of those sort of gross British horror films, I think, from that period.
Yeah, it's up there with teenage vampire motorcycle type shit. Our mate Rick would have been giddy over it.
Yeah, not me, though. I didn't like it.
They've been in Fangoria and Gore Zone, I don't doubt.
Yeah. If you didn't fancy that, Dakota Road. It was Dakota Road.
Never heard of it.
No, never heard of it. And there was also a re-release of Belle de Jour.
I'd seen it, I think, probably during the travels of film studies, but don't remember it.
Re-release of the Louis Buñuel film. A frigid young housewife decides to spend her midweek afternoons as a prostitute, as I've noted here. And you agree, Brown Sauce does probably love this.
Yeah, it's up his alley, isn't it? So he'd probably be raving about it.
There's a woman looks to the sky and it freezes halfway through it. So he loves it. 24th of July, there was Universal Soldier.
Yeah, there was.
Van Damme and Lundgren together at last. Soldiers who were killed in action are brought back to life in a top-secret military experiment that creates superhuman warriors. We went to the cinema to see this, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
So you went to see, over a period of like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, Lawnmower Man, Sleepwalkers, and Universal Soldier. You were having a bad month.
No, was this a Carolco movie, Universal Soldier? It was one of those 80s budget.
Quite possibly,
I was trying to think of the logo that came up at the start, but this was a big deal, wasn't it? Because it was Dolph Lundgren and it was
we thought it was going to be good. We thought it had might actually be quite good, and we were sat there in the cinema going, God, this is awful.
It's just cheap.
This is dreadful.
Shit. It's just shit.
It's just dreadful.
It doesn't look better on a modern lens. It hasn't aged very well.
No, it's really rubbish. No.
It hasn't Marissa Tomei, does it? She has aged very well. This hasn't.
No, this is Joe Pesci. If you didn't fancy that, we should have taken our own advice. You could have gone and seen Beethoven.
You could have, if you want to see a dog film.
Yeah.
I'm not into them.
Yeah, Slobber in St. Bernard becomes the centre of attention, and it's to contend with dog napping, local veterinarian, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's a dog film. It's got the big St. Bernard in it. It made a lot of money, $150 million, which means sequels, lots of sequels. There was Beethoven's Second. There was puppies. There was all kinds of St. Bernard.
Surely they must have got up to number 5. I mean, Beethoven's Fifth makes sense then, doesn't it?
Yeah, quite possibly. St. Bernard's had never been as popular. They've never been this popular since Bernard, what's his face, with Schnorbits.
With Schnorbits, Bernie Winters.
Bernie Winters and Schnorbits, yeah.
I never watched them. I never watched that. I never watched Turner and Hooch. I didn't bother with the dog movies. Digby, I didn't watch that. No, I didn't watch. I don't go to the cinema to see those kind of films. No, I'm not into them.
No. There was also Noises Off.
Never heard of it.
It's some kind of sort of play theatre sort of troupe who go around and they're all awful to each other. Michael Caine, Christopher Reeve, Denham Elliott, Julie Hegarty, Carol Burnett, John Ritter. Film at everyone.
Okay. It's got a lot of people in it.
Never saw it though.
Michael Caine and Christopher Reeve did another film together, didn't they, as well? So that's interesting. I don't know.
That was that one where Christopher Reeve was sleeping with his wife. It was, it was. He's basically... It's a trap one. It's some kind of trap. I know the one you mean.
He was in that. Yeah. So, but I mean, there's some good names in that. Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's a chuckle. Probably isn't.
It could very well be. I don't know.
It could be.
But I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Why would you? Hang on a minute. Let me just see. I want to know what that film is now. So, what was it? That's going to bug me.
Why? Just let it go. Let it go.
No, I can't. I can never let it go. I can't let it go. I can't.
Denham Elliott says, "Let it go."
No, sorry. Death Trap. That was
there
it,
you go.
wasn't it?
Right. And you feel better now?
I do feel better. I feel much better.
Okay.
31st of July, Night on Earth. Jim Jarmusch film about 5 taxi drivers around here.
No, probably Ace, but I'm never going to see it.
No. If you didn't fancy that, I didn't. I did go see this, though. Far and Away. Irish film.
Away. Yeah, Irish, to be fair, to be sure. Irish. Oh.
Yeah, a young Irish couple flee to the States, subsequently struggle to obtain land and prosper freely. I did go to see this at cinema. Not many people did. On a $60 million budget, it made just $58 million in the States.
Ouch.
It was something of a flop. You see where the money went there. This is from the IMDb. The recreation of the Great Land Rush involved 800 extras, 400 horses, and 200 wagons. The extras were all recruited from a reenactment society called the Reenactors. That made me chuckle.
Naturally.
That's like Channel. We set up a company called Channel 5. Why? I don't know.
There's 4 channels, and they're bound to need a 5th.
They're bound to at some point. I don't remember much of this.
I remember the trailer.
Accent. Not very good.
I remember the trailer more than I remember the film. Yeah, that's it. And Tom Cruise going, "Get out of there, it's her." That really bad Irish accent of his.
I was like, I was watching the film all over again.
I was going to say, mine was better than his. Certainly better than Nicole Kidman's.
Oh, God, I almost put on my Zardos pants then.
Please don't.
If you didn't fancy that, not the Zardos pants, the Far and Away, you could have watched Fern Gully, finally, The Last Rainforest.
Yeah, a.k.a. Avatar.
Avatar, yeah. The magical inhabitants of a rainforest fight to save their home, which is threatened by logging and a polluting force of destruction called Hexus. Avatar.
That sounds familiar.
But yeah, as we rightly point out, we have Man Called Horse, Dances with Wolves, all those kind of things. Tarzan, like fish out of water, and man sort of naturalizes, becomes part of the people that sort of take him in and then fights with them. Type thing.
Yeah, I mean, I did a comparison between Fern Gully and Avatar to see, how similar they actually are for pound. And, we'll post this into the show notes, or we'll put a link to it in the show notes, but, there is at least 20 exact similarities, right down to sort of set in Fern Gully is set in a lush living rainforest portrayed as a fragile but powerful ecosystem. Avatar, set in Pandora, a bioluminescent moon depicted as a sacred interconnected natural world.
Yeah.
Nature is shown as a sentient or spiritually alive. That's Fern Gully. Or could it be Avatar, where nature is explicitly networked through Awa, a planetary consciousness? It's all basically the same thing. I mean, it's a tried and tested story, isn't it? So,
time is Taylor's time. God's sake.
Taylor's old as time.
Taylor's time is old.
Yeah. Okay, Angela.
I've had a long day. We've had to have a new roof fitted, and I'm $6.5 lighter today. So it's
that escalated. Last time I spoke to you, it was less than that. What's going on? What have you done to that roof?
It all went wrong. The roof has all gone wrong. We've had a new one put on.
At least that should remedy it.
It should remedy it. Yeah, we'll see. But so it's like, I've had a day. But anyway, that's all the films and TV. We're going to go away, take a quick break. I'm going to cry into my wallet. And we will soon be back. We've still got 3 more games to get through and some shit covers to look at. So please do stay with us because these games are probably not worth talking about.
The novel Escape from the Commodore 64 by David Hearn is out now. Growing up in the 80s is a chore for Sarah, who feels misunderstood by her parents and badgered by Reese, her bothersome brother who incessantly prattles on about his treasured computer games. When Reese tells her one of the games tried to pull him inside the computer, she laughs off his fanciful fib. She waggles the joystick to disprove his fairy tale and is pulled into the computer. Now trapped in games she'd never had any interest in playing, how can she possibly beat them? With the help of feisty Nell, another trapped player, can Sarah find her way back home, or is it game over? An evil madman, a hostile planet, bloodthirsty robots, a never-ending throng of karate experts, and relentless digital soldiers will do their best to ensure Sarah never escapes. Available from Amazon and all good online retailers, find out if there's a way out of the beige bread bin of betrayal for Sarah in Escape from the Commodore 64.
And we're back. 3 more games as we round out July 1992. And Graham, it's over to you for that very first game to tell us all about the Bod Squad.
We're the Bod Squad from Zeppelin, Zeppelin games, those stalwarts of budget. 81% in Zap, $3.99, so that's not bad, budget price.
Yeah,
developed by VisionWorks, who is in fact the coder Kent Murray. So Kent Murray did just this game. This is the only one he's got credited for. He did the graphics for this as well. He also did the title screen for this. And the musician here is Kevin Bruce, who also just made this one game, according to Lemon. What's it all about? I hear you say. So Bod the alien has to rescue a mini-bod from each of the time zones visited in his time machine, which is a TARDIS, actually. In order to rescue each mini-bod, a series of intricate puzzles must be overcome and deadly enemies eliminated. Both characters must then return to the time machine to travel to the next time zone to rescue another member of the squad. The 3 time zones are Egyptian Pyramid, 18th Century Castle, and Victorian Haunted House. There are various enemies at every location, and these are out to ensure that Bod does not succeed in his mission. Bod the alien is well equipped to to defeat his opponents. He can walk, squash, jump, fly, run, and swim his way to the mini-bods. Bod will even play with his yo-yo when he is getting bored. Pushing movable blocks helps Bod to reach those out-of-the-way places that at first look just are too difficult to get to. There are also switches on the walls, which are activated by Bod facing them and pressing fire. These switches open doors all over the time zone, so use them wisely. And then it says here, extra features. While on his travels, Bod will also be tested by the following extra features: springs, hidden walls, masks, ice, wind, teleports, hidden ladders, spinning blocks, plus lots more. I think if you're going to put plus lots more, don't list extra features and not list them all. No, it annoys me a little bit, that. Gameplay says, Bod the alien is controlled via a joystick connected to the relevant port on the Commodore 64. As well as a score panel and a lives indicator, Bod only has a set amount of time allocated by the time machine in each time zone. The clock ticks away as Bod goes about his rescue mission. If the time falls to 0, Bod loses a life in return, having an extra 10 seconds with which to finish the rescue of Mini-Bod. Controls here, up to jump, down to squash, left to walk left, right to walk right, fire to throw Bod bomb, and moving the joystick down and then up makes Bod super jump. Something that you need to remember because it's something that is important in this game. Okay, this is a multi-load on disc, or at least it was a multi-load. I don't know if that means it's a multi-tape load or whatever, but I had a disc version, so I loaded the disc. It started off with quite a simple but interesting intro sequence, quite colourful in its own way. So you'd get like a giant block of text on a grey screen that said, discovering that his children are gone, Bod sets off on his journey to the planet Earth, space to start. Okay, it is what it is. And then you get like a nice sort of title sequence with some stars, and like a little TARDIS appears and does a sort of spins around. It's all right, that. And then what looks like a kind of a badly realised demo screen from the early, sort of the late 1980s appears, or sort of say the mid-1980s, where it's just text with a wiggly text effects and just a big block of text, which says, the Bod Squad, Ancient Egypt, the Guest, Great Pyramids, ahead is an opening, in we go. And then there's a scroll message across the bottom. It's a bit random, that page. And then so you'll press fire to begin the game. You control Bod, as I said, with the joystick and bounce around the well-realised levels, avoiding things that try and pop you, otherwise prevent you from getting further. The main game of this is the main window is the game at the top. There's about 3 characters of UI at the bottom, which has got the score, some let's go phrases or you've dead or some words of encouragement to that effect. Your timer, of course, and the number of bods you have left. The rest of it's all game. You could, like I said, you control him, throwing those bod bombs around. On the whole, through what is arguably an ineffective series of flick screens and a flick screen game that features way too many drops, deaths, and leaps of pointless faith on your quest to basically in this game not die is the quest, really. I thought the graphics were good, actually, here. Really nice backgrounds, quite nicely realised and rendered and shaded. They looked the part, and there's also a really well-animated main sprite. The look of this game is good. I'll give it that. The controls have inertia, which is challenging and generally means you bounce off almost everything in a really annoying way, though. That is a bit of a shame. And no one ever likes main characters that you don't fully control, especially in platform games, which is what this is really, a flick screen platform game. I mean, all I'll say is this is leaning more on the Cauldron 2 style of frustration in a game of this type, because that was a flick screen game where you had a bouncing pumpkin, and that drove people to the sea, that drove saints to the sea. It did look nice, though. And that's what you'd say about this. The bouncing of the character in this makes it kind of unenjoyable because it bounces off everything and everywhere. And it's hard to sort of get in where it needs to be. And whilst the graphics and the background are good, there are also things that you need to do can be a bit lost in it. Switches are tiny in there and things that you need to do. And really, when you walk through a level, because you can't see the level underneath easily, which on these kind of games, you need that kind of view. So you end up just jumping into the void and hoping that you don't land on a spike, which more often than not, you probably will, and you'll pop. You lose a bod, and then you're back to where you go again, and you've got to quickly think about what you're doing. You'll get through your lives in next to no time in this game very quickly. And so it's a little bit of an unforgiving game in that respect. You can restart the game quite quickly, actually, as it turns out. So getting back into it is quite fast, but it's sort of annoying in that way. It's not like it's a single screen in that kind of Super Meat Boy kind of thing where you die and it's stupidly and you straight back in and you don't do that again. This has too many drops into the void for you to be able to really control it like that. The enemies vary from spikes in the ground to mummies to things that get in your way. Touch them and you're a goner, essentially. 3 lives in a game of this type isn't many. So you know you ain't going to last long. I can tell you that now. And it's hard to master this because mastering the controls isn't something you can do because it arbitrarily bounces off everything. It's too bouncy. And that means that when it's bouncing out of control, you're not in control of the character, which means that you can't enjoy that part of the game. And because you're on a timer, you really don't have enough time to be able to do it. So I would challenge anyone really to get through this in any meaningful way because I don't think it's possible. So anyway, it's graphically quite nice. It looks the part. I mean, the animation on the little character is really good. It does. It's like a Dizzy game, another Dizzy game with another egg-shaped character in it, granted. But I thought this had a really nice look. However, once again, the evil spectre of no music rears its soundless head. And so, in spite of those lovely graphics and an Egyptian theme, would a 2-channel version of Walk Like an Egyptian been too much of an ask for something in an Egyptian level or something like that where you could just put a little bit of music in the background to drive things along? Without that, you're playing this in almost near silence apart from a few sparse spot effects, which leaves the game with no atmosphere. Now, you need to have running sound effects in these games. If you think of Impossible Mission, when you go into, there's not a lot of sound in music in our sounds, but when you go into those levels, you get that kind of ooh, 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 ooh sound in the background. You get that kind of bzzz, bzzz, bzzz of the robots and things like that. There's enough sounds to make you feel like you're in a space that's got dangerous things in it. Yeah, and then you've got your feet sounds. This just lacks all of the necessary components to give you that kind of vibe. So once again, it lacks any atmosphere because of that. It's a little bit unforgivable. So it's a pity because it's got a decent intro. The setup's okay for what it is. And as much as the controls are really annoying, and they are, if you were willing to persevere with Cauldron 2 and you like mapping things, you're probably going to want to do some of that stuff in here. But I challenge anyone to really get to it because you're going to fly down some of these levels quicker than you can map. And you're going to be landed on a spike and you're dead. So if you can stand the controls and you manage to figure out how not to die very quickly, maybe, just maybe there's a game in there for you if you can invest the time and you're not going to get bored by the near silence of it all. The learning curve's very steep. Its lack of affordance and its lack of atmosphere will that quickly kill off any potential enjoyment I would have had out of this. It's too hard. It's no fun. And all of that makes Bod a dull bod, doesn't it? And I didn't enjoy it for that reason, in spite of all of its front end. And Zeppelin have got a bit of a history of that, haven't they? Lots of front. When it comes to the game design, key bits missing. So that's what I thought. It was a classic Zeppelin 399 game. Nearly there, but not quite. What about you?
Yeah, and there's notes about that on Lemon, isn't there? In the actual notes on Lemon, it says the game was meant to be much bigger, but Zeppelin rushed it to shelves with only 3 levels. Someone puts that in the code in the comments as well. So, I mean, maybe that was Zeppelin's, thingy, and that's why he only did one game. He was like, "Oh, bugger that! I'm not doing another one for that. This is not finished." It must be disheartening for the coder when it's like, "No, I've got more plans for this," and they're like, "No, out. But it's not finished. It's finished enough."
Yeah,
we've said that loads, haven't we? About it's out the door, it's finished. Yeah, it is what it is.
Too often,
but it's annoying because this is a really good looking, incredibly well presented, beautifully put together nightmare of a game.
Yeah. It is.
So the good parts are really high. I really love the intro. The Doctor Who inspiration is obviously not hard to spot. I thought the music was really good. The visuals are great. I like that demo style intro and the wavy text and everything. Yeah. You're thinking this might be something special, actually. This is quite cool. Then we get the multi-load. Okay, it gets in the way a bit. And then we have the game. And again, we've said this before that sometimes we saw this last week with the Addams Family with the kind of high-res sprite and medium-res backgrounds. But here works really well. That high-res sprite is really clearly defined and easy to see. The medium-res backgrounds work really well. There's lots of good shading. They look nice. Lots of shadow and depth and things like that. It works. Looks really cool. Then you move and the inertia gets you. And you start bouncing off things and you hit a spike and then you go into a mummy and then you get trapped in a pit with a spike and then it's game over. But you even know what's going on, you're dead. It's loading the title screen and again. You try again, move a bit slower, but you're still dead in seconds. And then it crashes like it did on me. And you realise it's probably just for the best because this is a punishing, punitive, clearly not finished and tuned game. And that's a bit of a shame because with that visual panache and those sounds and the way it looks, I think this could have been something really special.
Yep, I agree.
But it wasn't given the time. In terms of controls, there's problems there. Why do I need to move right or left and fire to shoot? I don't understand that. When it's up to jump, so fire does little else other than switch on levers, and I could have handled a double. Just press fire. Just let me fire. Let me stand still and fire in the direction I'm looking. Because when I move right or left, usually I'll float in something. The inertia will get me, and because it's tight quarters in this. It should lock me in place. Doesn't. So it's just too frustrating and too fiddly to control, really. Shame, like I said, because everything around the game is great, but the game itself is a painful thing to play. Got 81%. It's too hard. It's too punishing, and it's clearly not finished. And you don't need to read those notes on Lemon. We've said it loads of times about loads of other games, and I think we've been bang on the money for a lot of them. And I think maybe they're just getting shoved out the door because it's like you've had enough time. We need to get some costs on this. Yeah, it's 3 levels. That's all I want at budget. Make it dead hard. They'll never see him anyway. Job done. Yep. There we go. That's the Bod Squad. It's so nearly there, like I said. And you're also right. Music. It needs that extra. It needed music in the levels and sound effects and atmosphere. Could have had anything really, but it didn't. So there you go. Oh, well, let's move on to our next one. It's another budget title. Could it be any good? Well, Graham, this is League Football.
Okay.
Suppose he got 73%, 73, $3.99. Another week, another Cult Games football management sim comes under the microscope for the budget price of £4. It's League Football, which was developed by Phoenix Computer Software. Ooh.
Great.
And the original creator of this was Vincent Vitti. The C64 conversion by Jonathan Wells. He did the code, graphics, and audio. The whole damn thing.
Oh, shebang.
He really did. Okay. It's another one of these, and this promises the following. Watch the highlights of the team you have picked playing every Saturday as you try and work your way up the leagues and sustain a good cup run. It's all up to you in this exciting football management simulation. Exciting, Graham. Exciting.
Come on. Pull the other one.
When the game loads, we get the credits and then the usual stuff to do, but not before a 2-minute or so wait for the game to sort out its data.
Yeah, please wait. Data sorting.
I thought it crashed.
I did.
I was like, okay, stuck it on warp. That
took ages.
2 minutes. If you're still interested enough to play it after this, you can choose to load in an old game or start a new one. Starting a new one lets you enter your name before selecting from the 80 teams in this one the game offers. Then you can choose to increase the capacity of the stadium, put up the ticket prices, or buy a new kit. Up to you. Huh? Once done, you're into the meat of the game, and all the usual things are here. Keyboard controlled, of course, choosing things with the first letter, so you can see team with an S. You can see the table with a T, coaching with a C, kickoff with a K, one save with the number 1, managers with an M, purchase with a P, league data with an L, accounts with an A, name Des with an N, and resign with an R. I like that. I've just had enough. I'm resigning. And directors with a D. Okay. I'm so fed up of writing this game same stuff every week. I'm just so bored of it. I'm hating these things now. I'm really doing my head in. Anyway, C team allows you to see the team and pick a first 11. Now, Okay, comparison to last week's, at least here the players have some stats. They're being skill, scored goals, appearances, total goals, and total appearances. There's only skill you really need to know about. Who cares?
Yeah.
You can pick your team here, and you need to do that because none are picked to start with. So you have to fill the roster up. Table shows us the league table. Coaching allows us to train a player. Purchase allows us to buy and sell players. League data shows us the quality of the teams when they are. It says so. League data. This is weird. It shows us the quality of the teams when they are either at home or away. So it'll say good, away, or bad, or whatever. It's quite interesting, but I don't think it means anything. Accounts shows us the money side of things. Name Des breaks the game, showing that it's written in BASIC. It just crashed on me whenever I chose that one. I got run stop header, run ready error. I was like, oh, okay. Resign lets you quit the game. One save lets you save the game. Manager shows the managers for all the teams. Well, I don't know why you'd need to know that.
It's useful.
Yeah, I don't know. And directors, no, it lets you speak to the director. He told me off and then gave me $6,000. So I'm like, okay, thanks for that. Did it both times I played it as well, so I think it's just that's what's going to happen. And finally, there's kickoff. Just gets us to the game. We get 2 views here. Okay. The first is a text screen showing the teams and score. The number of chances they have had, a circle slowly filling up for time along with the time in seconds. And what half we are in. 90 minutes. You can't do anything else. Or you can press U to make a sub at any point. Why not S? Why not follow the
go there.
Why not follow the control system you've been using for everything else with the first letter? Why suddenly switch to I don't know.
The time old tradition, yeah.
Why not they're trying to tell me to press U in Indiana Jones. I think that's what it was. However, every now and then when there's a bit of something goes on, it switches to an overhead view of the goal when either side gets a chance. So the attacker, whoever it is, whether it's yours or theirs, will very slowly approach the goal, dribbling the ball, while 2 defenders will forget what they're supposed to do, wander off somewhere, and God knows what happens. Attacker will go through them, and the attacker will shoot. They might miss, or they might score. They might hit it into a defender. They might hit it into the goalie, whatever. If they score, then they jump up and down to celebrate. Happens very slowly and adds no excitement to proceedings. A bit of sound effects. Ooh, that kind of thing. And so you see those play out every time there's a chance, and you'll get very bored of it. Once the game is finished, you'll get a match-by-match display of the scores from the rest of the matches, like a video printer, slow video printer. That's quite boring. Then you'll get the money side of things, and then you're back to the main screen to do it all again, but not before waiting another full minute for some reason. So while it's calculating its calculations in the back, which is what was telling me this is this is basic. This is data sorting and basic stuff. I think there's basic code here. And they're getting a screen telling you who are in the top and bottom 3 of the league. That's it. Do it all again. There's nothing here we've not seen before. And the fact that it breaks if you pick one of the options is a terrible thing. Or maybe it's a good thing because you can't play it anymore. Yes, the players do have some kind of stats, which is at least something. There's nothing here to recommend this over the copious other games Cult have spewed out into the market. They all look and feel the same. And none of them are really doing anything different. How many football management games does any person really need? I don't know. I don't get these releases. I don't get why they all look and feel the same and they're all boring to play and experience. I just don't understand this. I've got nothing else to say about it. I am absolutely bereft of words to describe how bored I am of these damn things. I hope this is the last one of these. I really do. Because I can't stand it. I like football. I hate these things. What did you think?
I thought it was rubbish, I'll be honest. But what can I say? I'm just going to caveat my responses here by saying what I always say, which
You're
is...
not a football fan.
I'm not a football fan. I don't like these kind of games. They don't hold any interest for me. Why would they? I'm just not into it. And I think that's fair. You don't have to be into everything, do you? Nope. So my main problem with this was I've just seen it all before in a different typeface. Same confusing controls, same pointless choice of teams. You put your name in, pick your players, and then just watch things happen, that either interest you greatly or don't. And for me, the key word there is don't. So is this a great one? I'd have to defer to your experience. I attempted to manage Liverpool for a while, got bored with it and quit as manager. And it said, thanks, you quit. We don't come back kind of thing. I'm like, I won't. It's all good. It's mutual. I probably lasted longer than some Liverpool managers have, I don't doubt, because I know, or some football team managers, sorry, not Liverpool specifically. But I didn't dig it. Is it a good one? I just defer to you on these things. I have to go. My question is it 73% worth? No. And the thing is, for me, they're all the same. So how are they not all just getting the same score? The only defining factor of difference for this one was that hilarious data sorting thing, which I had to warp speed through, and it still took 2 minutes. So God knows how long you'd be waiting for that for in reality, ages. And it had quite a nice typeface again. I did quite enjoy the typeface. Not the colorization of it on that Commodore blue background with yellow texting and white on it, and with it being sort of inverted. Look, these games are not for me. And no matter how many times they put them out, they are not going to hook me in. And as much as I like typefaces, I'm just not, they're not selling them to me. I am not the demographic, never was, never will be. And I don't believe that even football fans by now are going, oh, that league football looks good. I wonder what it's like compared to the previous one. It's the same damn game. I suppose FIFA have been getting away with it for years, haven't they? So why not then?
Yeah.
It's just, is it a good one? I don't know. My question is it 73%? And the answer to that is definitely no way. So if you say it's crap, I'll just go with your recommendation to not look at it again. And I won't. That works for me.
No.
Works for me.
Yeah, let's move on from bloody cult games. Still got one game to look at, and hopefully that may be better. We don't know. We just don't know. But Graham, you can let us know as you tell us all about Turbo the Tortoise.
Yeah, it's $3.99, so budget 81%. Not a bad score overall for this. Published by Codemasters and High Tech Software. This was developed by PAL Developments. We've seen them a few times. And produced by Visual Impact. The coder, though, behind all of that is Craig Kelsall. He did Potsworth & Co., which was okay, I think.
That was really good. That was, I think, we pretty like a lot of good.
A lot of good things going on there. The graphics are by Dennis Mouliner and Jared Bentley. Now, there's no credits other than this one for Jared Mouliner, but Jared Bentley did Dizzy Crystal Castle, or Crystal Kingdom, sorry, which you can top tell. Title screen, Richard Morton. He did Roadrunner and Top Cat and stuff like that. And the musician is Gerard Gowerley, of course. He did the music for Potsworth & Co. and DJ Puff's Volcantic Capers. I didn't realize, I thought it was volcanic, but it's Volcantic Capers. And Spooked, apparently. And Spooked, he did that as well. What's it all about, Adrian? Dr. Mulliner, dun dun dun. You see what he did there? Dr. Mulliner, Dennis Mulliner did the graphics. The world-renowned scientist and part-time pub singer is developing the latest cybernetic technology. This is from the Spectrum instructions, or somebody typed them in, let's say. Okay. Whilst creating his first prototype, a freak, uncontrollable, and unexpected chain of events occurs. His pet tortoise, Wal, or Wall, W-A-L, decides to start hibernation in the matter doesn't matter chamber. The doctor's psychopathic assistant, Beckett, unaware of this fact, activates the generators. Simultaneously, a 4.75 gigawatt bolt of lightning blitzes the control circuits, causing a massive overload in the artificial intelligence system. Ooh, heck. As the smoke clears, the chamber is opened, and out steps Brundlefly and trashes them all and pukes on them and eats them. No, it doesn't really. It would be good if that was the case, but no.
That would make this very much better.
It would, but no one is prepared, Adrian, for what is about to be discovered. Through the thick mist, an outline of what appears to be a huge tortoise can be seen. Yes, but it cannot be seen. Or can it be seen? Can it? Confusing. Yes, now processing Super Tortoise powers is our new superhero. Sorry, now possessing Super Tortoise powers is our new superhero. There you go. So the scenario then. After the initial shock, the Doctor's lightning-quick brain begins to scheme. To complete his prototype, 6 major components are still required. There is a slight problem, however. All known supplies have been exhausted. The only solution is to travel through time to where the items were first discovered. As time travel is relatively easy these days, Turbo, now possessing Super Tortoise powers, is sent on his first mission to collect them. To the objective then, guess what? You play the part of Turbo, who must progress through 6 time zones, collecting mystical items, avoiding hordes of weird, wonderful nasties, discovering hidden bonuses and secret locations, and if that's not enough, conquering the Guardian found at the end of each zone. Sound familiar? It should do, because it's basically Mario and Gianna Sisters and all those kind of games. One of them.
Yeah, yes.
When the Guardian has been defeated, the item needed will appear. On collection, the zone will be completed, and he'll jump in the air, throw up a star and go, "It's me, Mario!" And then it won't do that, really, but it probably would. To dispose of enemies in this game, Adrian, the majority of them can be disposed of by jumping on their heads, of course, or hitting them with the current weapon. Beware. Some are far stronger than they appear. It's exciting, isn't it? And the back of the box says, join Turbo, the world's first super tortoise. Collect rare isotopes from the corners of space and time. Avoid dangerous dinosaurs, evil Egyptians, and fanatic future meanies. That doesn't sound at all like what they described in the instructions, but okay, we'll do that. And according to this, there's a quote from Zapped which says, you won't want to put it back in its box till you've completed it. Well worth shelling out for. See, shelling. All right. Whatever. So this multi-load I played for this, full clarity, wasn't a cartridge version. Therein lies the scenario. You'll load up the game, and you will get a very basic-looking loading title screen with loading graphic is of what looks like a tortoise holding a load of bagpipes.
Yeah. I didn't understand it, if I'm honest.
I don't really get it, but that's what it is. And then you'll get to the title page, which is just some text on there saying Codemasters, programmed by Craig Kelsall, backgrounds by Gerard Bentley. He didn't mention the other thing, is he? It says graphics were by the other guy. But anyway, that's who it is. Sprites by Dennis Milliner and music and FX by Gerard, like I said. A visual impact production. That's all you get, that and the music. And then you want to play the game, right? Another day, another scrolling platformer in the vein of a Super Mario clone, really, this. The main game of the window is 3/4 of the way up. The last quarter at the bottom is the UI, which details the number of lives, score, that kind of thing. It's set up like a weird mini TV type view. I'm not sure quite what they were going for with that. Didn't really align itself to a super tortoise, but I'm guessing it's maybe something he's got on his wrist or something like that. I don't know. It's never really explained and doesn't matter, really. The rest of the game at the top is a Mario-esque type world. Graphics here are awkward combination, though, of high-res main sprite, which we've seen loads recently, which looks quite nice, and then a C64, wide pixeled medium res enemy sprites, which don't look quite as good, but they are quite wide.
They're very wide.
Background graphics in this are okay. I'm not a fan of a sky when it's brown, I'll be honest. Brown skies don't sell games to me. I much prefer the traditional blue of a sky. Mario's got blue skies. If Mario had brown skies, it wouldn't be as popular, I don't think. But it is what it is. Not. There's an attempt at parallax as well with some kind of mountain range or whatever they are. Muddy hills. I guess they're mountains. I don't know. Very tight mountain range at the back. They look like little peaks of... They look like a row of ice gems, I thought, scrolling by. Maybe they were hungry. I don't know when they made it.
Yeah.
And the idea, of course, you scroll along, jump onto the platform to collect the things, jump on the heads of things. It's Mario, that bit. It plays that like a bad Mario clone. Joystick controls are the way to go here. So you control everything, directions to move, up to jump. Scrolling works okay in what it is. At least it's not flick screen. Enemies are placed in a similar way to Mario. So they're just, doing patrols and moving around and generally getting in the way of things. There's not a lot of them. And there's plenty of platforms to jump on. So you find yourself just kind of getting through the level pretty easily. It's not that challenging, I didn't think, really. But, and I feel like I could get a tape recorder out for this. There's no in-game music for this. Which means we're back on there. It's the inverse Russ Abbott law, isn't it? So that's what it is. He'd love to party with an happy atmosphere, but without the atmosphere, well, take away the music and you've got nothing, have you? It's atmospheric that when you've got music going, in the background, Mario, that and all of that. If you don't have that in silence, and just for a moment, just picture yourself playing Super Mario World, any of the Mario games, and take the music out. Not as exciting, is it? Doesn't quite work, does it? No, you need that. So, again, it's not like the game is bad. There's a functional game in there, and it is a Mario clone, and the graphics are okay. They're not terrible, apart from the brown sky. So there is it's playable to a point, but it just feels like, again, it just lacks the finishing touches that are needed for this. And one of those is it's just devoid of atmosphere. You need the atmosphere in a game like this to make it feel like it's more fun. If it's just sound effects, however well-meaning those sound effects are, it just makes the game feel boring in a game like this. If it's just whoop, 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 whoop for jumping and landing on things and little explosion sounds or little sounds when you click things, that's fine. But it's not enough. You just need something in the background. Jana Sisters managed it. That had sound effects and music, didn't it? I think it certainly had music in there. So why can't they do it? I don't get why they're doing it. Is it just that it requires more effort? There's plenty of music in this.
I think it's just they just don't want to pay the musician more. I think that's what it is.
I guess that's it. Or maybe it's a timing thing. I don't know. For whatever reason, anyway.
I think it's money. I think it's money based.
So I like the style of it because I quite like Mario games as it goes. So I quite like the idea of it. Brown sky aside, of course, because I think that's just stupid. And I suppose there is a game in here that you could play in the vein of Mario for budget money. And maybe it's worth your £3.99 to play it. Maybe it is. I personally felt like it was a misfire in that space. It wouldn't have needed many tweaks to make it better. And one of those key ones, stick some goddamn music in the bloody background when you're playing it. Other than that, it felt a bit convoluted. And worst of all, eventually, of course, a near silent game, even as with all the excitement of the various tortoises and monsters in it, it got boring just walking along, jumping over things, picking things up without that kind of intense music and feedback and the atmosphere that's needed and generated by that. That, coupled with the confusing UI and its lack of coherency overall, meant that the game didn't fit into the game space. This was clearly a Mario game before it was a Turbo Tortoise game, and they wrapped that idea into it to sort of give it some life, because what they were trying to do was create a Mario, and that doesn't end well if you clone Mario, does it? Too well. So I thought this was a misfire. Did it deserve its score? It deserved less. It's not like it's terrible, but it didn't. It's 50% at best. It's about half a game, so it's about half good. But I didn't enjoy it, and it's principally because like all of these games suffer from the same problem. It didn't have any atmosphere to drive the pace, which meant it felt boring. So sorry, but it was. And brown backgrounds, no, blue. Blue is the normal colour for sky, blue. And the Commodore's got blue, so blue. What about you?
Oh yeah, it's a really basic, and it's a really basic left to right scrolling platformer, and there's just absolutely nothing to really hook you into wanting to play very much of it. That's this main problem.
No.
It's as simple as it comes, with little more than move left and right and jump and crouch every now and again. The visuals are okay, the sounds are okay, the music is absent again, as you rightly mentioned. The controls are mostly okay, but it's so flat and dull. There's so little to actually comment on. It feels, it's again, we've said this again, it feels like a my first game type of thing. Left to right, very basic. And it is left to right. There's no verticality to this. It's just what's on screen. This is what we saw in that Yogi game. It's just that. We've seen loads of these sort of it's just that again. It's just one of them. And it's odd that because the Coda did Potsworth and Co., which had loads of decent touches and mechanics and things in it, and so strange this.
Did
but I think I can only assume that this is just a port job from the Spectrum. They've handed it out. Someone's done this on the Spectrum or the Amstrad, and they've gone, "Oh, we need a C64 version. Just port this over." Okay, right, fine. It's a few weeks' work done. Whatever the reason, it's too simple. This is just too simple to be engaging in any real way. Like you said, there's no real menace or terror or panic or peril or anything. You just float your way through, jumping on stuff, ducking under the odd bit, and then you're at the final boss. And then the final bosses are stupidly hard.
Yep.
I found as well. And I couldn't work out what I'm supposed to do. Am I supposed to jump on the red? I didn't have a weapon at that point, so I wasn't quite sure. And every time I jumped, I got hit and lost energy and died. I was like, this has become annoying. Stopped playing at that point. It's not very good, this. It's very, very dull. It's very, very boring. And it's just meandering along in a space that there are other games do it far better. And, so £4, 81%.
I know.
These scores, man. These scores are just ridiculous at this point.
Fantasy, aren't they?
Utterly ridiculous. This is bang in the middle, like you said, 50, 40, somewhere 45 to 55.
Oh, completely.
It's perfectly competent, but absolutely nothing to it. And it's as average as they come. Oh, there you go. And it's not turbo, is it? There's no turbo to it.
Nope. Utterly shocking.
Yeah. If you could, I thought I was expecting, not that it's going to be like that, but some kind of Sonic-like thing. I thought it was going to be a bit faster, running about and a bit crazier. But no. And there we go. Dear listeners, there we go. That is your games for this week.
Yeah.
Not a particularly bump a lot. Obviously, the highlight is BugBomber.
Yeah.
Because that was actually decent. It just lacked a decent single-player mode. It has got a good single-player mode. It's just a bit, again, like an atmosphere.
Yeah, put some damn music in it.
I know. Then we had the excretion that was Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis.
We said not to say that.
I'm sorry. Just say it 3 times. It'll just appear on my screen. I'm like,
no, don't. Sorry, Indy.
Oh, maybe if you leave it down there, it might be worth something one day too. Then we had the Bod, and then we had 3 games that were just Bod Squad, too hard and too annoying. League Football, we've seen it before, and Turbo the Tortoise, which was boring. There were some budget releases this month in the magazine. There was Zoids for £4.
Not bad for £4. Good music as well.
Great music. I'm just amazed it's taken that long. What was this, 86?
Yeah. Well, they are slow, those Zoids, aren't they? Big old thing.
True, I suppose. There was Summer Camp for £4.
Don't remember that being great, but I don't remember much about it either.
It was a sort of tricky flick screen platformer with weird mechanics on each screen.
Oh, yeah.
You were the mouse.
Yeah.
And this, I can only imagine this was an absolute nightmare on tape. Gunship for £4.
Can you imagine that? I mean, you have got to be dedicated. I mean, imagine getting that 70-page manual in the size of a cassette box.
I know.
Either it was like you had to get a magnifying glass out to read it,
it was or
the cassette was like 7 inches wide. That's a big cassette.
Big budget title. What's that? Gunship. And then, you'd have enough time to read it after you were, because it was
summarise the instructions down to just one single page. Fly the helicopter, do stuff. Bye. Oh, okay. I suppose that is what you do.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. That was the budget releases. Right, these crap covers. First one, The Match.
Yeah, cult games. They've not got a great history of drawing footballers, have they, on the front of theirs? This has got a hunchbacked version of one of the Chuckle Brothers.
Sort of trying to number after someone who I think plays for Everton. The main guy's all right, but him at the back, what's going on?
I know, he looked a bit like a guy I used to work with, way back in the day when I worked in a warehouse. It's like he's double. It's uncanny. Although he's, which football team is that? Who are Panda, by the way? He's got Panda at this.
I don't know. I think I'm thinking this. Well, it's black shorts. I don't know what the black shorts are. It might be Forest. I don't know.
It looks like he's just come out of the forest. Foraging.
Well, D&H is because it's cult subsidiary. It's D&H Games, isn't it?
No, of course it is. Yeah, I forgot about that. But he's got something FC written on his top there. I noticed.
Has he?
Yeah,
probably. It's probably Everton.
Guy in blue.
It's probably EFC. That's Everton, I think.
Yeah, it could be Everton. Did they have collars on their football shirts back then?
Think so, yeah. Around the early 90s.
I think they should bring that back, actually. Bring the collars back on the shirts. I think that's quite a suave. Yeah, collars on the shirts for goalposts. I quite like that. I mean, it's action-oriented. He's clearly, I'm not sure what move he's doing. Falling over, I think, is what's going to happen because he's gravitationally challenged himself there because he's sort of, his feet have gone off to the side and he's going, ooh, so he's clearly,
he's scared of the ball.
He's quite scared of the ball. But, I mean, if they could have just done with not having the Hunchback of Notre Dame in the background, because the guy in blue looks perfectly fine on his own, and with the background, the background's pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
and we'd have just looked at that and gone, yeah, that's all right. But because they've felt the need to, include, I don't know, John Walk on a bad day.
Yeah, he's not looking great.
John Walk.
And isn't it sign of the times that just behind him there's those giant, awful barriers they used to put around the football grounds? Do they still have those? I thought they took them down.
No, they did. They did take them down after Hillsborough.
Right, so the kind of places that cover in a certain time zone of football, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think this is a picture probably from just out the newspaper or something, and someone's
they've just drawn over it. Yeah, and the match writing, right? It is what it is. Nothing special there. Just a typeface.
On to our next one.
This is Steiger, isn't it? Steiger. And the cover that lies. This is. The implication is that you control a person. You don't. You control the helicopter that he's towering over in that. It's clearly modelled off Schwarzenegger in the Commando movies.
Yes.
And somebody who doesn't know anything about putting on military, either military attire, he's got a scarf on inexplicably, or military style camouflage makeup.
Yeah, because he's left lots of pink.
Well, yeah, you don't put it on like that. I mean, it's really stupid, that is. It just made himself look like Tony the Tiger. He's like, I want to look like a tiger. All right, Steiger, you can look like a tiger. You're going to get shot, but whatever.
It looks like he's gone to a sort of Saturday afternoon face painting.
He does, yeah. He went to the fair. He'd been to the fair. He's got a balloon in his face painted, yeah.
Can you make me look like a Schwarzenegger? Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando with his green face paint. Can do.
Yeah.
This isn't coming off, you know.
And you notice that whenever they draw the soldiers in this position with the gun, they've always got the finger on the trigger, which no soldier would do. Because when you hold your weapon like that, you don't have your finger on the trigger because you could inadvertently trigger it and it would go off. And it's an automatic weapon, so it's just going to not stop firing till the sky turns red. Something bad's going to happen, and that scarf's going to get trapped in something. Take the scarf off, man. Don't need it. There's no camouflage scarves in the army. They don't have them.
Yeah, that's true. And then there's airplanes and tanks and explosions.
Yeah,
this game's got none of that, has it?
Well, they're in it,
but they're in it, but to such a poor degree. It's like this.
Yeah.
We're used to sort of covers over promising, but there's no person in this game, and they try to sort of make it as this character called Steiger.
No, exactly.
I don't know.
And I quite like the fact that
if I'd got this, I would have expected a Commando style game.
I quite like the fact that the helicopter's got a caravan on the top, though. I mean, that's handy. So if you want to camp, take your helicopter and go for a camp, it's got a little camper van at the top there, a little kitchenette in there.
It's got
his bed.
It's like truckers with the back of their truck in it. It's like when you pull the curtain across, just goes in the back.
For a fact, when those military aren't able to get to where they need to be, they could just bunker down, set up the tent at the back, get the barbie on. They're having a good time. It's nice. And I think it's good that the army have given provision to the campers side of the military. I think that's pretty good.
A camper chopper.
It is. And I'm hoping that thing that it's got a weapon on the right side of the helicopter. On the left, my feeling is that that's where they keep all the camping equipment.
Or I think it's a canoe for when they,
could be a canoe. Could be a canoe.
When they need one.
I admire that dedication to a helicopter camper. I think that's a good move.
Yeah, like a camper van, camper chopper. Camper
Yeah,
plane.
exactly.
Yeah, anyway, there you go.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
There it is. Anything to say about the font? Are you happy with the font?
No, it could have just been military. It didn't need a crappy fire effect that they put. I put a gradient, a radial gradient in it from yellow to red. It's like, it doesn't work. Lose that. Naff.
Yeah.
Rubbish. Yeah.
And then we come to league football, Graham.
They clearly haven't got the same person drawing these, have they?
Because the one at the back looks worried. The one at the front looks wrong.
The one at the front should be worried.
Again. There's two footballers again. They go for ball, but the artistry of the first one we looked at, which was actually okay, apart from the Hunchback, has gone.
This is
I
more
don't know what's happened
cartoon-like.
here.
This is more comic book than live action. His fringe is inexplicable. And he's got very long lengthening of the arm. His right arm is quite long considering it's down by his knees. I know he's sort of running crouched, but I'm not sure what position he's in. If he's running like that, he looks like he's squatted down and just running like he's run sort of half height.
And I think as well, the one in red is pulling that face because I think he's snapped his left ankle, which is the one on the floor.
Yeah, he is looking a bit twisted there, and they're both quite small. For footballers,
and that thigh
is
really, but he's got a really long thigh.
Yeah, disproportionate anatomy is the curse of the junior drawing artist, isn't it? Which is why he looks so glum. He's looking a bit sad. Now, what football strip is that, Adrian? Because it clearly says ARP on the front of that shirt, and it's red and white stripes.
I think that's Sharp, so I think that's going to be Liverpool.
Okay, and who's the yellow and green?
Sharp. I think the yellow and green. The only one I can think of would be Norwich.
I'll take your word for that because I genuinely don't know. Usual crowd in the background. No cage, though, this time. No fence, whatever they called that.
No, we've obviously moved on. The photo they've got to take this off is obviously a couple of seasons later. Yeah,
exactly that. Usual text at the top, big league football, and the ball somewhere in there. But why didn't go for more realism on their faces? Why did they go for this comic book sort of look? I don't know. Maybe
because you couldn't draw them. And also as well, the sign in the back. What do you think it says?
Looks like
it's like an A, a B,
arses,
an S. There's an A, a B, a something, and then ESS. I was thinking it's going to say access, but that's a B. Abscess. What company is called Abscess?
I don't know. I made up one.
What do they sell?
It's not great. I mean, the hairstyles are quite interesting, aren't they? I was trying to think if we had any of those hairstyles, but we didn't. We didn't.
Oh no, mine would be down my back by that point, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, we wouldn't have had that. I definitely never had any of that because by this point my hair was running out. But I was trying to think, did Gary ever have that kind of red guy's kind of swept back hair? He didn't, but we did know a guy that had a big quiff. Maybe he did.
Yeah, he might have had that one. Yeah.
And did Gary ever have a fringe? Has he got a fringe? I'm trying to think what he looks like, and I'm trying not to actually, but
he had an afro.
Well, he did have yeah, he did. Yeah. He modelled himself off Big Jim Slade, off that guy from Enter the Dragon, didn't he? He for a while, and he'll deny it, but we know that's what he modelled himself on. He wanted the women. He studied karate. He kept calling me Handman for some reason all the time. And I don't know why he called me that. He came to our festival. He enjoyed it at the festival.
He did.
Gary will be laughing at that.
He will be. He always laughs at anything, doesn't he? He's a laughing man.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
He is our family. We are his family. He'll be laughing at that too.
He'll be coming around soon to break some in.
You my golf clubs? No, you idiot. I completely forgot about that. Oh dear! And the people who listen to this have got no idea what we're talking about, but we haven't got time to go into it. But it's a joke revolving around Enter the Dragon and Gary. So Roper, very good.
There you go.
Very good.
Anyway, games for next month.
Yes.
Let's get to the games for next month, and then we could leave the good people to go on about their day. We've got Daffy Duck. Never came out, did it? Never came out.
No, never came. All finished, never came out.
No, but it is out now. It has been found. Games that weren't did find it, and so we can play it and have a look.
Bless
it was
them.
reviewed in that episode. So these are all in score order. So Daffy Duck got the highest one. Then the Stuntman Seymour.
Oh no!
Ooh.
No.
This is right. These first four. Then we've got Dylan Dog.
Wow.
Then we've got James Bond 2, codename Robocod.
That was good on the Amiga, James Bond.
It was good on the Amiga. I don't know what this will be like on the C64, but it's like ducks. Seymour's a spud or whatever. It's a dog. It's a mascot nightmare, isn't it? It's just
they're all trying to get
they
the
ain't
characters, aren't they? Sonic and Mario got a lot to answer for here.
Yeah, I think so. Then we've got Nightbreed.
Oh no,
So I don't think that's going to be very good. Bigfoot. I don't know if it's that's got no price against it, so I don't know if it's a budget one. It probably is. Die Hard 2 makes an appearance.
Interesting. Okay, weird.
See what that's like. The first one was really good, wasn't it? Yeah, I enjoyed the first game.
It was, but is it by the same people?
Probably not. Then we've got European Champions, and luckily these aren't cult games. These are full price because Euro Football Champ. What did we just cover in the TV last month?
Oh,
European Championships, right? Weren't there? So these are 2 games based around the Euros. Okay. And then finally, we've got World Cricket.
Oh no!
And I've had a look at that, and do you know what that is?
Go on.
Text-based cricket.
Yeah.
It's not cult, it's Zeppelin, but it's a text-based cricket game. Can you imagine anything more boring?
I can, and that's match fishing.
I don't know who's got that one. I'm going to have a look on the agenda because I've already done them. Let's see who's looked out and got.
It's probably me.
One. I don't know. It could be anyone. Let's have a look.
Right.
Games. I don't even know what it is.
Quite looking forward to Daffy Duck though.
I am afraid to say you have got World Cricket.
That's fine. I'll take it as I know now about cricket, but and I don't love it, but I'll go for that. I'm looking forward to seeing that Daffy Duck though, because I am a big fan of Daffy Duck. I'm a huge fan of the original Warner Brothers cartoons, now seemingly lost in time and space. I think arguably because a lot of them aren't very politically friendly these days.
No, they're not.
But I don't think some of them are outright racist in actuality. But,
I don't think they should be lost though. I think the cultural artifacts, they should still be able to be viewed in the context of what they were. Yeah,
and if you go to Warner Brothers, I mean, I held up. You get to actually, there's stuff you can pick up in the museum, and one of the things you can pick up is I held the actual Oscar for What's Opera Doc, which won an Oscar.
Wow!
And I've held the actual Oscar for that, the best animated film Oscar, and they're really heavy, surprisingly heavy Oscars. So
are they
Academy Awards? Okay. Yeah, really good. Yeah.
But yeah, just that sort of on that sort of typical like things getting thing. I mean, you don't like. I've just read loads of Lovecraft, and Lovecraft got some very, very troubling stuff in it because he was quite racist and a lot of things like that within it. But I don't think for a moment his work should be censored from history. It's like
sadly,
it is what it is. You need to understand the times to see where we've come now. And unfortunately,
you do.
Where we are now is because people are ignoring the past. They
are, but also at the same time, just there's too many people out there that get offended by Bugs Bunny and things like that, and the violence in Tom and Jerry, and that, it's just the way it is. By the way, before we go, there is something important that we need to say. So the prize, we have a winner of our prize. So we held a competition. The competition, I've got the prize in my hand right now, which was the Sukwang V20 keyboard. So this was, obviously, we needed the clackiest keyboard. We held a competition. People entered, didn't they? People entered their keyboards. They entered the sounds. I put all of those names of all the different people that had entered into a pot and pulled out the prize. And the winner was Mike's Vintage Tech.
Wow, well done, Mike.
So Mike's Vintage Tech will be in touch for you to claim this wonderful prize. You'll be pleased. So we'll get this sent to you. So we'll just need to. So we'll politely ask once we notify the winner that he needs to contact us so we can send him it. Now he may not want to send us his real address, but we'll find you and we're sending it to you. So you're going to get that. So congratulations, Mike's Vintage Tech. You had the clackiest keyboard. And so we had a lot of good entries into that, actually, as it turned out in the end. So we put the clackiest ones into a pot, and there was quite a few, and then that was the clackiest. It was a very clacky pot, and so I've got a clack. This is a clacky keyboard. And so
that's clacky.
That's very clacky. And the winner, of course, the clacky keyboard there, and the winner was Mike's Vintage Tech. So, Mike, I want you to make sure in your next book you mentioned, which is hopefully your book is called The Top 100 Keyboards I've Ever Used. I want this in the top 10 at least.
I think you should.
Resplendent and it's purple and gold.
Yeah, that is true. And we'll work away of actually getting that sent out to you, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll get that sent to you, Mr. Vintage Tech. We'll get that sent out to you. But congratulations, Mike. You've won the prize. Whether you feel that you've won the prize will be justified when you get it. So, but you've won, and that's the thing. So well done, well done.
Golf clap for
Mike's Vintage Tech. Well done.
Well done indeed. And on that celebratory note, I feel we should leave our listeners to go about their normal week. We'll be back next week with 5 more games. Next month, I think, that's it. I think after that, it just drops off a cliff with number of games. So I think, August 1992 is after that. Yeah, it's all downhill. But only 8 episodes left to go, Graham. Only 8.
The countdown.
Madness it is.
It is.
Who thought we'd actually get to this point 5 years ago? 5 and a bit years ago. Anyway, there we go. 4 more episodes, plus the blood bins. We're still going. As ever, I have been Adrian Mills.
And I have been Graham. Put some damn in-game music in your games. Raddings.
And you have been listening to a clacky old keyboard. And we will see you again next week. And make sure we don't have to come round and break something. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as the music, films and TV from around the 1980s, driven, of course, by the issue of Zapped 64 magazine published at that time. We will return with a whole new batch of games and stuff to talk about next week. Until then, if you want to listen to or download previous episodes of Zapped to the Past, and why wouldn't you, they can all be found on our website at zappedtothepast.com, as well as being available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Audible, Player FM, and, well, pretty much anywhere where we can upload them. By the way, we do always love to hear from our amazing listeners, so if you'd like to contact us about anything in the podcast or beyond, you can do so by emailing us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. We're also active on Twitter under @ZapTother, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and most social media platforms. Just search for Zapped to the Past and you'll find us. Oh, and if you like the podcast and what we're doing, please do like, share, review, rate us. It really helps. Something. Apparently, the Zapped to the Past podcast is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Raddings and recorded at Flaky Bits 2.0 Studio. All opinions expressed are those of the writers, and while we indeed love Zapped 64 magazine, the Zapped to the Past podcast is not affiliated with it in any way. Stay safe, see you next time, and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.